Well, hey, everyone. How's it going? Oh, buddy, it has been a week. So much stuff going on. Hi, everyone. Good to see everybody. For anybody that's new here, I'm JL. Welcome to my weekly live stream. So I want to check in with everybody, see what everybody's doing, see what's going on, and say hi to people and wish everybody a happy holidays because the big day is coming up. So if you're traveling, be sure to stay safe out there on the road. And of course, I hope you all have fun wherever you're going, or if you're hanging out at home. Definitely hope everybody is doing well and is staying healthy and safe. So, and of course, I am celebrating as well with Jason in the background, as you can see. He is full of merriment and whimsy, as he usually is. So before we dive in, I do want to say that I do have a special guest who will be joining me today, and I will bring him up here shortly. Is an individual that I spoke with briefly on Facebook in one of the groups that I am a member of, and he's also a member, so we're going to bring him up here and talk to him in a second. But let's say hi to see who is in the chat here briefly. Let's see who we've got today. I see Tony Regime is in the house, says someone forgot to upload a thumbnail. Well, I did upload a thumbnail, and then I had to re-upload it for it to be up there, so I don't know what happened, but I did. And then Tony Regime says, that's better. It's like, yeah, so sorry about that, but I see you were first. Stellarium Celestia, good to see you, Stellarium. Surf is in the house, good to see you. Captain Welshie says, hello, peeps. Hello, Captain Welshie, good to see you. Sir Little Wolf's in the house, and an aru to you, too. Clive Wells, always with the popular ghost. Thank you so much, because ghosts are alternative energy. Don't forget that. Thank you so much, Clive Wells. Do appreciate that. Steer into the curve. That's what I always say. All right, Donnie Does That's in the house. Says, hey, everybody. Hey to you, Donnie Does That. Good to see you. And Robert Caslow, what's up, my heretics and globetards? Good to see you, Robert. Awesome to have you here as always. And, of course, wrote it no last name, Gabba to you. Says, got up early and caught the Falcon 9 launch this morning. Awesome. Good to see. And, of course, the Plot Hole, one of the member of the Godless Army is in the house. Good to see. He says, drive by hello. Most likely he is busy with holiday plans. I know he had the live show last night. Where Whitney was out playing. I know Eugene was out there as well. But I know they had a lot of fun. I caught bits and pieces of that stream, so that looked like it was fun. But good to see you, Plothole, a member of the Godless Army. Said thank you so much for your support, bud. And of course, you too can become a member of the Godless Army. It's 99 cents a month, which is pretty much as much as I value my content. But 99 cents a month, you can be a member of the Godless Army and get your channel member badge. That will increase as the evolving brain as time goes by. And, of course, access to all of the cool emojis that I have made for you, like Darth Dawkins with duct tape over his face, crying Otangelo, Kent Hovind in jail, all kinds of fun stuff, Donut Earth, and a number of other philosophers. And when we get more members, I think it's like 11 more members, then it will unlock the next emojis that I have created for y'all. So looking forward to that. Oh, let's see. Who else? We got Beaver C says, let's do a live stream. Damn straight, let's do a live stream. Here we are. All right. And I think I see Angel Gamers in the house says, I was raised evangelical. Sometimes they are crazy. Sometimes. Now, like the last stream I had where I had somebody on, that one turned into a shit show. And it was not my intention, but it did. And because that guy was really, really unstable. And then I had somebody from the group come later and be like, hey, that guy you had on your stream, he turns everything. Even this was a fellow Christian. And this was like a fellow dude who knew him well. It was like, he turns everything into a shit show. He's really unstable. So I didn't know that before I brought him on. Oop, hit my mic. But yeah, that was pretty much it. Sorry, buddy. All right. But good to see you, Angel Gamer. Fantastic for you to be here. And Plato says, is it Angry Santa? Well, it's Crystal Lake Santa, celebrating the holidays down there at the bottom of the lake. Soup Kettle's in the house. There's three work days left after New Year. It's 6 months of sweet, silent office work. That's so good to hear. It's always nice. Mark Short's in the house. Good to see you, Mark Short. Little Dickens in the house. Another member of the Godless Army. Thank you so much. And Sir Little Wolf has become a new member of the Godless Army. Thank you so much, Sir Little Wolf. I do appreciate that. And definitely, everybody, show him all the cool emojis that he can have fun with being a member of the Godless Army. And thank you so much for the support, Sir Little Wolf. I do appreciate it. You rock. And let me see. I think I got every says, oh, Plothole says, no, your last guest looked like Santa, and he was angry. Yes, he was very angry, and he did kind of look like Santa. So, and Daryl M, good to see you, Daryl M. Oh, frowny face. Did I miss you? But good to see you, Daryl M. I see you there. I see you now. I see you. I recognize you. All right, so without further ado, I will bring my special guest up to have a discussion based on what they believe and why they believe it. This is somebody who I spoke with very briefly because the group is called Evolution for Creation, and typically I check out stuff that check out posts that are on there and be like, no, this is wrong. Here's the and oftentimes I'll show them the DOIs, like the actual papers that explain exactly why it's wrong. So, but nonetheless, I do encourage anybody who's in there to come on to the show. If they want to come onto my show, onto my live stream, and discuss these things with me to see kind of like how they come to their conclusions, then I'm more than happy to have them on to have a civil discussion, unlike the last one. So I'll bring you up here. Sir Pika Pup the Benevolent, good to see you. You haven't missed nothing yet, but here we go. So without further ado, if you want to go ahead and unmute, sir, I will bring you up, and everybody say hi to Dale. So how's it going today?
Good.
Excellent. Fantastic. I assume getting ready for the holidays. It's I know it's crazy out there with, as far as traveling, shopping, various stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right. So pretty much what I do here on this channel is the focus of my channel, Bridge the Divide, is essentially looking at the claims of theists. Doesn't matter what the theist, whether it's Muslim or Jewish or Christian or whatever, looking at the claims of theists and then critically analyzing them and kind of like ensuring that asking if the right questions are being asked. Like, how did a person come to their conclusion? So for clarification, you yourself, you're evangelical Christian, creationist, any particular denomination or?
Yeah, I'm a young earth creationist, primarily Assemblies of God.
Oh, okay. All right. So as an AOG, predominantly, how do you come to the conclusion of creationism in the face of all the evidence against it and without resorting to circular reasoning? Meaning that you get the story from the Bible, but how do you determine that the Bible is true without referring back to the Bible? Without using the source to prove itself, which would be circular. And so how do you come to that conclusion?
It's a long process. Now, some background. I was raised Presbyterian, but back when I was in high school, I identified as an agnostic. But one of my objections to Christianity was, the Bible's not true. The Genesis account with its Adam and Eve and 6 days, just contradicts the reality that I knew. But I think what brought me to faith initially was this dispensationalist book by Hal Lindsey, The Late Great Planet Earth, which was mainly devoted to the apocalypse, but used as its evidence for the Bible being true the fulfilled prophecies relating to the first coming of Jesus. So that's where I'll start with.
So like that's kind of where I was going with that, is that when you have the work that's being done that's outside of the Bible, like for example, the conclusions that, because I myself was raised in the faith. I was raised Methodist. I was confirmed Methodist. And it was a long process of my deconversion. So it was like, I think a little over 10 years, whereas then it started literally with a question. Like I simply was like, something occurred that didn't make sense, that didn't jive with what I was being taught. I was like, well, that's odd. So I asked the question, why did this happen? Why did this occur? And then that leads to another one. And then that answer leads to more questions. And you keep asking, because that was one thing my mother, who is still devout, raised both my brother and I, that if something doesn't make sense or if something doesn't jive, you always ask questions. Never be afraid to ask. Like, how do we come to this conclusion? How do we determine this? Like, what evidence is there to support this? And through education and ensuring, like many years of dedicated education, taking the courses, engaging with the experts in the field, it comes to these, you come to the conclusion when faced against the evidence outside of the Bible that these things are not true. from both a philosophical and a physical, like you would say, like a real world perspective. And then when I asked you about this, you immediately referred back to the Bible. So I said,
Right.
how do you determine the Bible is true? Because of the things it says about Jesus that's in the Bible. Well, how do you determine that those are true? Because there has been extensive work done in looking at the prophecies around them. And when you really dig into them, they don't pass muster. Like at surface glance, you could be like, oh, well, this and this and this. But when you really look at the wording, you really like, for example, that Jesus' name is never said in the Old Testament. And it's never said once until the First Testament, as far as like the Christ, as far as the title of the Messiah. So, and then of course, like the line of David, so like this. So there are many prophecies that wouldn't be considered fulfilled, which is what the Jewish argument would be. So can you go to something outside of the Bible without using the source to prove itself?
Well, there's, for instance, for the creationism, we have plenty of evidence that would be considered scientific that would discount, let's say, the Big Bang theories or the Darwin's theory of biological evolution. So looking at those sorts of evidence, like the matter antimatter asymmetry. According to that, the Big Bang should not have produced this universe. Then, looking at the abiogenesis being necessary for life to start, the probabilities against that are astronomical. Francis Crick, who received the Nobel Prize for co-discovering the DNA, he surmised that life may have only evolved once in the universe, and hence came up with the idea of directed panspermia. So there's all these little evidences that we can use, let's say, to cling to our position, that there just might be a God.
Well, then, okay, so therein lies kind of the crux of the issue is like, yes, any atheist who's being intellectually honest will recognize that there are gaps in knowledge, that there are some things we have yet to explain, like for example, you brought up abiogenesis. Like abiogenesis is an understood science. That field is understood. So we know the process by which it occurs. We just don't happen to know which version of abiogenesis took place on this planet. There are experts at McMaster University utilizing the planet simulator that are currently going through the process of doing that, essentially breaking down exactly which one was most likely to occur on this planet. So abiogenesis is currently in the process. So think of it like before human beings ever flew, all of the failed test flights that had to take place before a successful airplane was flown. This is basically it, going through the exact same process, taking what we know, testing its limitations, making predictions, see if those come true. And eventually, I think the estimation is probably 2025 which is a conservative estimate. And at 2025, we'll eventually understand this process. Just like there was a time when people thought that we would never map the human genome, and that took time. And of course, Dr. Francis Collins, who was head of the Human Genome Project and director of the National Institutes of Health at Bethesda, and is a devout Christian, was a member of that team. And, this guy, one of the leading experts in his field, one of the few people that Christopher Hitchens had any, amount of respect for as far as being a believer. And he completely, discredits and throws out young Earth creationism, intelligent design. He recognizes the fallacies behind them because he works in that field professionally. And he himself has said, it takes a leap of faith. No evidence or argument will get you to be a believer. He says it takes a leap of faith to do that. So,
I'd agree.
Okay, so if the evidence doesn't work, so that basically comes down to if the evidence or the argumentation won't get you there. So if it's a matter of faith, then we have to examine faith. We don't really have to examine the evidence because, and Sir Peekapup said, it was Frederick Miescher who discovered DNA in that respect. But examining faith, Okay. So a couple questions on that. So faith, evidence of things unseen. If you want to go with the Hebrews explanation of it, the confidence in things unseen, the hope in that respect, for things to occur. With faith, can faith be misplaced by your understanding of it?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. And can faith be manipulated by external sources, like
Yes.
other people leading you to wrong conclusions via your faith? So this is how we get cults, like Jim Jones and the Branch
Well, my
Davidians, so on and so forth.
pastor told me I was demon possessed, so he may have been wrong.
Well, I would say that it'd be pretty silly. I mean, I wouldn't say that you are. I would say that any human being ever has been, but given that you don't exhibit all the signs of demon possession, you probably just disagreed. And because you disagreed, he said you were demon possessed. That's kind of like a bad argument in that respect. But given that faith is an emotion, is based in emotion, it's an emotional appeal, is what it is. It's the things that you hope that are true without the evidence, even without the evidence to support them. So why would we ever use faith to come to the truth of anything?
Well, it is sort of a mystical, metaphysical thing, and I'll admit that part of it, was this, born again experience, so that that affirmed my faith. But then again, I know a lot of people that had a similar experience, the Pentecostal experience, that later rejected the faith. So it's not an experience is an ironclad guarantee by any means, but still, I think there is some evidence that allows us to retain our young Earth creationism position. And science has proved some things wrong. Like we were really excited when there weren't enough neutrinos coming out of the sun, which would dictate a much younger sun. But it turns out there was another type of neutrino that hadn't been caught in the neutrino counter, which put the sun back to the 5 billion year age or whatever it is.
And also, just for a heads up, there is a theoretical physicist in the chat. His name is Clive Wells. So Dr. Clive Wells. I actually consult with him a great deal, and to help kind of explain things, because I myself am not a theoretical physicist. I am by education, I am a forensic psychologist. So in this respect, I tend to go to him when I have like stuff that I really need sussed out. So if there's something that comes up, there is a theoretical physicist in the chat that will pretty much look, here's what you're saying, and will respond if he feels it's necessary. So given the reams of evidence and the enormous levels, because going back to creationism, when you brought up Darwinism, this is an issue that I personally have, especially in the Facebook group that you're a member of, I'm a member of, and I even once was suspended from responding in that group by one of the admins because a lady got really, really mad that I debunked something that she had said regarding the claim was made that this particular flower, it's like an orchid that looks like a baby in a cradle, and said, yeah, this blooms only in Bethlehem around December. Like, this was like, no, that's an orchid. It's called, like the swaddled baby or the swaddled child orchid, and it only grows in Central America or South America, where it's endemic to South America and only at extremely high elevations. And it was discovered in like the late 1700s when it was first described. And she was like, and then I got suspended. So that's what I do over there in that one. Now, in that one of the biggest issues I have is you brought up Darwinism. And I want to suss out, because this is the first opportunity I think I've really gotten with a creationist to suss out, why do creationists consistently refer to Darwin, or they cite Darwin, when Darwin lived over 100 years ago? His foundational thoughts on evolution are over 100 years old. And since then, over a century of improvements on the model have been made. So like, they don't cite like Lenski or Motokumura or any of the individuals working today like at the forefront of this, or like the individuals at McMaster University, part of the planet simulator, or the long-term evolutionary experiment, which is over like 80,000 generations in its testing. They never cite those. Why do creationists always go to Darwin, like ancient old thinking that has totally been discounted and improved upon over 100 years?
Well, Darwin is the father of the modern synthetic theory, and occasionally I do cite Moto Kimura, with his neutral theory, particularly when we're talking about genetic entropy.
Sanford's work. So John C. Sanford. Okay,
right.
Throwing out there, I just want to ask, because I can run this down. Okay, so to preface this, I was supposed to do a debate against a creationist who goes by Nephilim Free on YouTube. And he came in, he challenged me. He like straight up threw it was in Discord, and he came in and he threw the gauntlet down. I'm going to debate you on creationism. I was like, okay, I'll take evolution. You're good to go. And then he ran away. Like he took off. Like he refused to debate me. He wouldn't agree to any of the terms of the debate or the format of the debate. And eventually he's like, I'm not doing this. You can't debate science like that. And then he just blocked all of us. And now he won't respond. So, and I was ready to go. Now, he also the reason I bring that up is because Nephilim also cites John Sanford. The problem is Sanford was discredited in his book, The Mystery of the Genome, Genetic Entropy and the Mystery of the Genome. He was discredited in that because he deliberately misrepresented Kimura's work. Because he said that Kimura's work unveiled no beneficial mutations. But Kimura's work was not intended to unveil beneficial mutations because he removed them all. There were beneficial mutations, but he removed them from his thesis because the focus of the thesis was neutral mutation.
Right.
And so that's explained, and I read through Kimura's work, and he explains how he purposely removed all of the beneficial mutations because his focus was solely neutral. But Sanford misrepresented him in his own book, saying Kimura found no source, found no benefit. He was like, no, he found them. He just removed them. And everyone kind of like blew up on Sanford about that. And then Sanford like doubled down and said, no, I stand by my deal. And now nobody takes him seriously. Not to mention, because genetic entropy is just another name for what's called error catastrophe. And genetic entropy just sounds kind of scarier. That's why it was marketed to creationists. But error catastrophe has never been demonstrated in a lab, even when they intended to try and demonstrate it. And it has never been observed in nature. So we can't even force error catastrophe to take place. And we've never observed it because that's not how genetics works, is the problem. So genetic entropy has been soundly debunked. And I was actually going to explain all this in the debate that I had. I had a slideshow prepared where I was going to go through exactly the breakdown as to why Sanford was wrong and how he essentially lied in his book and was discredited.
Yeah, usually where I see the argument brought up is where he says on page 25 of his book, there are very few beneficial mutations, and all this is in plant breeding experiments, and it was kind of indefinite. I think the rebuttal says there was 3,000 beneficial mutations for plants, and he says that's a few. So it's kind of problematical.
Yeah. So okay, just so make sure. So the refutation of when Sanford was discredited, genetic entropy was debunked. So these were a few of the points. So like genetic entropy is a made up term. It's invented by Sanford to rebrand error catastrophe, just to kind of give it that kind of like genetic entropy, because they think of entropy to think of descending into chaos. The idea from physics. He's co-opting a physics term and applying it to genetics is essentially what he's doing. And error catastrophe has never been observed or documented in nature or experimentally. There have been attempts to induce it in the lab, All of those have failed. And Stanford's claims about air catastrophe and H1N1 in the 20th century, those have all been debunked. And there are numerous DOIs out there that debunk that. The process through which genetic entropy supposedly occurs, is inherently contradictory, because either neutral mutations are not selected against and therefore they accumulate, and harmful mutations are selected against and therefore they don't accumulate. Mutations cannot simultaneously hurt fitness and not be selected against. And that's the big kicker against it, is like, that's not, because this is how we know genetics works. And then as deleterious mutations, as negative mutations build up, the percentage of possible subsequent mutations that are harmful decreases. And then they're more likely to be and then the percentage of possible beneficial mutations increases. This is what we call compensatory mutations. In other words, if you get negative, the odds of those can't go negative again. You can't do like a double thing. What you can do
die out.
No, not necessarily, because not all of them are detrimental to the entire population.
Right.
And that is where the big point is they leave out the big field of point mutations, because point mutations increase the genetic information for the population. In other words, just because something popped up doesn't mean they didn't get the opportunity to breed. And if they bred, it's not like a negative, it's not like a deleterious mutation occurs and then no one ever breeds with them and then they just die. That doesn't always happen. You see that occurring when a population goes extinct, either because of a lack of genetic variability or a number of other factors. But in this case, you have like a population of 2 million, and then a few of them, this deleterious mutation pops up. Those ones still have an opportunity to breed, and often they do. And there's more of them build up. They can't go negative. It doesn't work that way. That the more negatives there are, the more like a C to a T, the more chances there are that the T can turn back to a C and become a beneficial mutation again. And then the cycle goes on and on and on, because not all deleterious mutations result in the death of the organism. Sometimes they just result in maybe legs are too short, or tail is too short, or wings are too short, or something is too long, something in that respect. And then, of course, it continues. Like for example, in human beings, the genetic, the mitral valve deficiency, the faulty mitral valve, that's a genetic deficiency. Okay, but you could still get a point mutation where you have two individuals, a mother and a father, with that bad gene, and a point mutation could result in a child having no mitral valve impairment, which has been documented many, many times. So point mutations are the key, where one letter is changed, resulting in a brand new nucleotide. So that's an important thing to remember. There's something that Stanford conveniently left out of his work.
But once again, you're talking about deleterious mutations, and with these neutral mutations, I think it was like 100 per generation. They don't do anything in 10 generations or 100 generations. It's all neutral. There's no selection against it, but that's where you can hypothesize this air catastrophe. Where after maybe 10,000 generations, it could lead to too much junk in the genome.
Well, but you say 10,000 generations, but human beings have been around for 200,000 years. Modern human beings like us, modern Homo sapiens, have been around for 200,000 years.
Kondrashov addressed that. He's brought up by Stanford as well. Why are we not all extinct? The paper to that effect. Now, once again, he has an answer, but maybe we haven't been around here for all those years.
Well, we have archaeological evidence that we are, but then again, we have, even then, if you don't want to accept archaeological evidence that humans have been around for 200,000 years, you could simply take historical evidence, because at minimum, the Aboriginal cultures of Australia have been around 65,000 years, with evidence to suggest that is a conservative estimate. So they've been around at least 65,000 years in native Australia. I mean, their history goes back that far. because they're isolated. There's not a lot. There was not a ton of influence coming in to absorb them or influence them. So their history is pretty much unbroken ever since they settled Australia and then proliferated there. So an unbroken history chain, 65,000 years. And that can't be just that is irrefutable. So we know humans were around at least that amount of time. And then, of course, you go with the further evidence, fossil evidence and archaeological evidence, that humans go back even further than that.
Once again, we take issue with it, but granted, you do have, amassed a huge amount of evidence, but once, there's no written history for the Aboriginals, so it's, hard to date it. We object to the carbon-14 dating, so it's, it seems to me just to be a unending argument that is not subject to absolute proof.
Well, I mean, so how we determine that the evidence is sound is predictive modeling. So we take the evidence, we analyze the evidence, and then we ask questions about, okay, well, if this evidence is true, then we'll make a prediction about we should find something here, or we should discover something over here. So, like, for example, the best example I can come up with is when we discovered Uranus, the planet Uranus. Uranus was discovered due to perturbations in the orbit of Neptune, but no one had ever seen the planet before. So it's kind of like, well, there's these weird, if orbital mechanics holds true, and we look at what we understand about gravity, what we understand about orbit, all these things, and we understand about how mass affects it. We see Neptune's orbit, and we see these weird perturbations in its orbit. Well, that indicates one of two things. One, there's another planet out there. And if there is another planet out there, let's keep our eyes in the sky. And if we're looking at this one place at this particular time, we should see the planet swing by. Or our model is wrong. So it's one of the two. And there were people that legitimately, like scientists who legitimately thought, no, the model's got to be wrong. There's no planet out there, until they said, okay, well, let's look. So they look and they see. And sure enough, at the appointed time, in swings Uranus. And there you have another planet. Because we knew from the predictive model, demonstrated by what we know about orbital mechanics. And so therefore, the evidence we have, mass, gravity, orbits, all the evidence that we compiled there allowed us to predict the existence of another planet and where it would be and what time it would be. And then it becomes true. That because it was true, that validates both the model and the evidence that the model is based off of. So we do the same thing with evolution. So we have all this data, we put it together, and we say, okay, what can we tell with this? And then we start asking questions about, well, if this is true, then it means this. And then we go and we look and we find it. Very simple example, like the prediction as to where exactly we would find Tiktaalik rosea. And it was like, well, if this holds true, then we should find this species in this location at this geologic depth. And sure enough, they went there and they found it. So the predictive modeling is what validates the evidence or validates the model and the evidence itself. Because if the prediction failed, then we just throw it out and go back to square one and start again. Taking out, okay, we knew that we did this wrong. So that interpretation was incorrect. So maybe it means this. And then we keep testing it. We keep testing it. We keep testing until the predictions start coming true. And then when they start coming true, then we start refining it in order to make them more accurate. This is how we are able to predict the sunrise down to the millisecond.
Well, I agree that, science, does, works. We see all these things being confirmed. But, to go off on a little aside, a little rabbit trail maybe, in my circles where, we do see our faith being threatened. That's why we have ministries like Kent Hovind and Ken Ham, promoting our YEC orthodoxy.
I don't know if you want to cite those guys.
Well, I'm not going to. But in my And I like Ken Hovind. I think he's a funny guy. He did deserve his 10 years, but um, because we see our faith under attack. I see a lot of my fellow Christians, fundamentalists, pulling away from science. Take our church. We had several people die because they look at that vaccine as being of the devil, and so.
Well, I mean, but then you have individuals like Pastor Greg Locke, who has been like, and Pastor John MacArthur out in California, who have literally they've ignored mask mandates. They don't care. They think it's all bunk and hooey, and they hold their congregations, and people have died.
Well, right, in our church, people have died.
I mean, John MacArthur's got a body count of 9 people so far.
But I bet for the size of our church, we have a higher body count, and
possibly, but those people wouldn't be dead. But those people wouldn't be dead if they hadn't gone in. You could have just done a virtual congregation.
But we like to get together.
Is that worth lives? Children that don't have parents anymore?
It is. I've seen people accusing us of being a death cult for that reason. They may have a good point.
Well, I mean, I did hear somebody in the the evidence for creation group did post, I can't wait to go. Like they saw something that's like, I think it was the UN sculpture that was put up, that was donated by the government of Oaxaca, Mexico, that was inspired by Aztec warriors, the Aztec warrior culture, which is the jaguar, the army of the jaguar and the army of the eagle, which were their elite infantry. And so they combined these artists combined the two into a protector, like a guardian protector, as a kind of like keeping the ancient kind of like ideologies or beliefs of the Aztecs life, which is where they hail from. That's their history. And this person was like, yeah, this is obviously a sign of the end times. The UN just put up a structure that looks like the beast in Revelation. I can't wait to meet my God. That's scary. That's why, because you got people walking around, and that's why you can interpret it as faith is under attack, because you have people walking around this nation in the United States who are voting, who are engaging in the system, and they can't wait to die. Which means they can't wait to meet their God, which means that the decisions they make in this life, the votes that they cast in this life, are influenced by this overarching belief that they're going to go to heaven and they want to meet God. So anything to further that or ensure that is very scary, especially when it's based on faith, which we just discussed. Not a good pathway to truth.
Well, it's like the Bible says, in the last days, perilous times will come, and we certainly are seeing our Christian confusion on all these things. So,
yeah, but there's no atheist confusion on these things. There's Christian confusion. Yeah, I can understand that. 40,000 denominations of Protestantism. And then the Calvinist saying that you're what? The Arminian is saying, the Arminian is saying, it's this. The Calvinist saying, it's this. The Catholic Church saying, it's this. The Eastern Orthodox saying, it's this. Whereas the atheists are going, no, here's the evidence. This is what it is. There's no confirmation bias. There's no appeals to emotion here, because we're interested in what is true and not what we want to be true.
Right. Yeah, I thought we were going to talk more about the dispensationalist Calvinist, because that was the comment you engaged me on there on Facebook.
Well, I mean, whatever you like, whatever you like to bring up. I was just looking at it from the creationists, because the group there is evidence for creation, of which there is none. And really, if you've got something other than referring back to the Bible, because when we look at a claim of the Bible and say, how do we know the claim is true? Well, then we refer back to the Bible. That's circular reasoning. And there's a lot of people who semantically try to say, oh, it's it's virtuous or it's vicious, it's virtuous circularity, so that's okay. And it's like, no, it's not. It just means that one has a more positive, one has a more preferred outcome than the other one, but it still makes it circular and it still makes it fallacious. So that's why I kind of started. I didn't go down that because I realized that my reasoning was fallacious. I was using the source to prove the source, and it doesn't work that way. Because if you believe in something pre-held and then you interpret evidence through the lens of the belief, it's going to be confirmation bias.
Well, I agree that I have my biases, but once again, science is willing to consider pretty much anything. Take Neil deGrasse Tyson. Recently he's been promoting the idea that we are simulations. Maybe the only good evidence that we're not simulated is we're not simulating civilizations or universes like we are being simulated. So we're kind of at the unique point there, which is unlikely. But supposing that's the case, we might be a simulation, that somebody's doing to study religion,
or study the history of humanity, like an ancestry simulator, yeah. Or there's holographic projection theory, like we're literally information splayed across the event horizon of a black hole.
Right.
So there's a number of hypotheses out there, but no one's espousing them as the truth. They're saying, no, they look at all of these possibilities of what could possibly be. But the thing is, there's evidence, not a lot. Some of these are very, very scant, but there is evidence to suggest in various areas. But what evidence is there to get to a God other than an argument from ignorance or an argument from incredulity or an appeal to emotion? You want there to be a God. So therefore you believe in a God, because a God means there's an afterlife. A God means a God provides some sort of purpose other than myself, because I can provide my own purpose. I provide the purpose for my life, right? So, and that's good. That's fine. I don't need an external thing to tell me what the driving force in my life is. I decide that for myself.
We have like altogether different perspectives. Like here's a very obscure, let's say, geological evidence. For us young Earth creationists, Noah's flood is a big deal. That explains all the for us all the geology we see, which otherwise would indicate billions of years. But in the Kodachrome Basin over in Utah, we have these breccia rock formations where this underlying conglomerate strata has erupted up through in columns through a softer rock of sandstone, shale, or whatever. And probably the most straightforward explanation for this would be that all of these strata were kind of like wet concrete at one time, which would be the catastrophic global flood event. And there really isn't a very good geological explanation otherwise. And there's some other formations like the gilsonite asphalt tubes in the same area. But so we look at these little tiny anomalies and make a big deal out of them.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm good friends with the geophysicist. He's a member. He's actually a member of my channel. I think he is Dr. Anthony Purcell out of Australia, and he's incredibly knowledgeable about this, specifically in glacial isostatic adjustment. That's where his forte is, where his focus is, specialization. And he's broken these things down in his own video segments, explaining why these things occur this way and why we see them this way, and why things like the Grand Canyon were carved through hundreds of millions, if not billions of years, why it took to get to that eventual point. And and that there is no evidence for the flood. The number one point of evidence of no evidence for the flood is that everything that died at that time, especially if the flood took place, we know this by rates of decomposition. Okay, so if there was an actual flood that occurred, then the water would all be, just by virtue of how we understand fluid dynamics, all of the water around the world, you're talking, in order to cover the planet, except for like where Noah and the ark landed, would take 6 sextillion tons of water in order to cover the entire planet. And there doesn't exist that much water, like, anywhere. Like 6 sextillion tons.
Well, we have a very simple explanation.
But that's just the math of the planet. That's just to cover the planet. That's what that takes. So where would the water go? Like physically, according to fluid dynamics, where would the water go? And we know it didn't go down into the earth because we've mapped the interior of the earth via seismology and seismography. So we know that's not where the water went. So the water go up. Well, we know we've been up there into space. We know the water's not there. So you have to appeal to magical thinking. God magicked it away in order to get around the questions when you begin to critically analyze these things. Not to mention, with all the water at one level where the water's covering the planet, everything that died when the water went away, everything that died would then settle. And so everything that died at that point would be at one level. And I'm not talking dinosaurs, stuff like this. I'm talking every human being, everything across the board would be at one level across where the flood took place. After the waters receded or whatever were magicked away, all of that organic material would be dead. All of the plants that were there would all die because salt water, fresh water, like salt water contaminating fresh water. So all of that would die. And then all of that organic material would be left at one layer in the strata. And we'd be able to see that. And we don't see that. We see geologic strata with as composed by like that are settled by time. And then specific fossils that occur only in one strata and don't occur ever again. So we wouldn't see that. We would see this big line where everything died all at once, except for one family. Just very similar to the Chicks Club event, to the KT extinction event.
Right.
That we do see. That layer of, I believe it's iridium across the planet. I think it is. Correct. Live chat, correct me if I'm wrong on that element, but that element line.
Right.
Okay, so
iridium. But there's 2 points I should address.
Mm-hmm.
In our young Earth, flood geology, we have the initial conditions of the Earth as being essentially flat. Maybe the high mountains are 1,000 feet above sea level, and there's the Pangea and a world ocean, and so it doesn't take 5 miles of water to submerge Mount Everest. There is no Mount Everest. It takes 1,000 feet of water. And, I subscribe to the Dr. Walt Brown take on that. He wrote a book, it's online, In the Beginning. But essentially all the water from the flood comes from this huge reservoir of water under the crust.
But geologically speaking, but geologically speaking, the Earth can't contain that much water. Like it couldn't. Like it physically can't be like 6 sextillion tons of water. The Earth is, it couldn't sustain that. That you couldn't hide that within the Earth.
But now you're saying the amount of water that would, say, like cover Mount Everest, right?
No, that would cover to where you would need to be for Noah to have crash landed where he was when the ark landed.
Mount Ararat, which is around like 15,000.
Yeah, but you're talking about the entirety of the planet, the size of the planet to get to that height.
Well, so you're talking
because God's
talking 1,000 feet.
Yeah, but we know from geophysics. Tectonic plate, because you mentioned Pangea.
Right.
Pangea, the supercontinent of Pangea is extrapolated from what we understand about plate tectonics today,
right,
and tectonic shift. So we basically see them moving one direction at a speed, and then we just go backwards. So just like redshift, blue shift, we see that we basically, okay, well, if the plates are moving in this direction and they're moving at this rate, then let's go backwards and let's project them backwards. And eventually they project backwards to the supercontinent of Pangaea, which was 200 million years ago. Because that's how slow tectonic shift is. That's how we came to the conclusion that Pangaea existed about 210 million years ago, was just the rate of tectonic shift. That's it.
Well, are you at all
So if you
familiar
say that
with
Pangaea existed, then if you say that Pangaea existed, or if you go down that line of reasoning, then the Earth has to at minimum be 200 million years old.
Are you at all familiar with Walt Brown's, YEC?
Well, I'm familiar with YEC, the claims that are being made. I may not have read every single book on them, but if someone is talking about Pangaea, how we came to the conclusion, if someone says that Pangaea existed, then they have to accept how we came to the conclusion of Pangaea. And Pangaea, the supercontinent, is extrapolated back by what we understand about plate tectonics today and continental drift. So the continents drift slowly but surely. And if you just extrapolate that back across time at the speed at which they go, then you will get this. Then you will eventually get Pangaea roughly a little over 200 million years ago. Now, saying that, well, maybe it was faster. Maybe it was like all there and all of a sudden it was really, really fast and it moved along. No, you can't say that because that would leave telltale signs of that kind of continental movement. We know that.
We have the telltale signs like the breccia columns, the gilsonite pipes I mentioned. Walt Brown basically says, like the folded mountains in the Canadian Rockies, are the perfect example of, this continental drift going at a velocity of a runaway freight train, just like zoom. Now, once again, for this to have occurred, it's almost as miraculous as that, 6 trillion tons of water.
No, 6 sextillion tons.
6 trillion, yes. So it's a lot of water.
That's just by going by the surface area of the planet. Because if you look at it from a perspective like that, we understand the size of the planet itself. You can go out in your backyard and measure the circumference of the Earth using basic math. It's not difficult. I mean, they're doing it thousands of years ago in ancient Greece. But if you take that by comparison, if you were to shrink the Earth down to the size of a basketball, a human being would be the size of a virus on that basketball. That's the comparison model. So take that virus and make it human-sized, the basketball becomes Earth-sized. That's the size comparison. So, yeah, to cover that much surface area with that much water, that's how they come to that number. So you look at like how much water weighs, how much water it takes to cover 1 square mile, then increase to the elevation, and then increase it out, the volume out to cover the surface area of the planet. That's where that number comes from. And they say, okay, well then, let's say it did happen. Where did the water go? Did it go up? Did it go down? Did it go out? Did it go without? We don't know where. So we start looking. It didn't go up. Ain't nothing but space. It obviously couldn't go out because that would still be space. And
actually, Walt Brown does have some of the water going out into space. He has the comets as a result of Noah's flood. So, we can be very imaginative.
Well, yeah, but just because it's the first I've heard somebody say that comets are a result of Noah's flood. But just because you can imagine yourself to a conclusion doesn't mean that conclusion fits the evidence. It doesn't mean that conclusion is true. Right. At that point, you're just special pleading.
Right. I would.
Which is another fallacy.
Yeah, I wouldn't claim comets support, our position, unless we were to go up and find a comet that has fish in it or something. But right now they don't support YEC.
So I got to add, Mr. Andres says imagination is not science. That's true. Imagination is not science. You start with an observation and then you ask a question about that and then you test that to see, to basically understand what you're looking at, and then you make predictions about it. You say, okay, I have evidence of this, then you make predictions. And there's a lot of work, a tremendous amount of work that goes into creating a theory, to go from a hypothesis to a theory. And so that takes a grand amount of work to get to that, which is why it's the theory of gravity. It's the theory of quantum electrodynamics, which is the reason why you have a touch screen that works on your phone, is the theory of electroquantum dynamics. Then you have things like, the theory, the germ theory of disease, the theory of evolution. That's why these are theories and they're not hypotheses anymore. So when Darwin came up with it, it was hypothesis. He hypothesized based on the observation of his finches.
Right.
But now it is a theory. It is well understood. In fact, we've observed macroevolution and microevolution in nature. Because microevolution is just small scale. Small scale evolution takes place within 1 to 3 generations. And then you've got macro, which takes place in 3 or more generations. So they're technically the same thing. It's just the amount of time that they take place in. But we've seen single generation evolution in stickleback fish. That was part of the evidence I was going to present in my debate. And then we've seen 3 generation in the hybridization, specialized hybridization in Darwin's finches. So we've seen that in nature. No men tinkering, no people tinkering. It just happens. That's the way it goes down. And then, of course, the long-term evolutionary experiment, which is like 80,000 generations with I think it's 20 plus special events, which were those evolutionary events that take place specifically behind actual structural change, new species, so on and so forth. So, I mean, speciation occurs. That's what evolution is, the repetition of specific gene alleles.
I would agree with that much of evolution.
So, I mean, if evolution is true, and it's represented by both micro and macro, or small scale, large scale evolution. We've demonstrated it in the lab. We've observed it in nature. We've done it to dogs. That's artificial selection. We've also seen natural selection at work when specific alleles were chosen for because of positive selection pressures. So in this, and God and evolution are not mutually exclusive concepts. Francis Collins believes that God diversified life on the planet through the natural process of evolution by natural selection. So there's that. So why hold on to the creationist in the face of the evidence, in the face of pretty much Christianity lining up against creationists? The vast majority of Christians don't believe that. Even the Catholic Church doesn't accept this stuff anymore. So why hold on to it in the face of all the evidence that it's not mutually exclusive with God? It's just this is the way the world is. It doesn't get you out of a God deal. It just simply says there was a misunderstanding as to how things came about. Because disproving the Bible doesn't disprove a God. You could knock down the Bible completely, which I have many times in my videos. You can knock down the Bible. That doesn't get you away from a possible God. It doesn't. Because as much as Christians don't want to accept it, God and the Bible, a God and the Bible, are not mutually exclusive. You could kill one and still have the other. So,
well, we did kill Jesus.
Yeah, but I mean, why hold on to creationism though? You literally would not be losing any ground in your faith by accepting the evidence.
I lose some ground. Take the first chapter of John. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. All things were made by Him, and without anything was made that was made.
Okay, but does John confirm Genesis? Written by 2 separate people at 2 separate times. Does the New Testament confirm the Old Testament? Because the Jews will have a real problem with that.
Well, if the Jews all accepted Jesus, then there'd be no Jews, and then the Bible would be falsified. So we'd have
no, but they don't. Because they have a reason to. Because Jesus was not. They say that Jesus was a prophet, but he was not a Messiah.
The Muslims say that too.
So there you go. So,
right.
But you see that kind of backs you into a corner, right?
There's a corner where I'm comfortable.
But why hold on to it when it doesn't? it doesn't harm your faith in any way. It's literally just, I'm not even saying don't believe in God. I'm saying just because you knock down the creation story in Genesis doesn't mean you've like killed God.
Well,
Just
no.
and even if I disprove the Bible line by line by line, which friends of mine have gone through the Bible line by line and knocked this thing down, it still doesn't disprove God. God could still exist, and the Bible could totally be wrong.
Right.
Right. So why? So the problem is, what we're getting to is, why is the evidence such a problem?
For me, it's not this great problem because, like these little evidences I brought up, and like you're saying, in 5 years, we'll resolve the abiogenesis. One of the creationist ministries, I attended a lecture, they were saying it might be 2035 when we, figured out abiogenesis, but, both figures are close together.
I'll go with the guys that are I'll go with the guys that are doing it hands-on rather than a ministry who's talking about the guys who are doing it hands-on. So
5 years.
So in that respect, the issue and what I wanted to point out is, accepting the evidence doesn't disprove Christianity. Accepting the evidence doesn't disprove God. And not accepting the evidence puts you at odds with other Christians, which seems weird to me, because this is one of the first things that began my deconversion, was the existence of multiple, when I reconciled why there are so many different denominations of Arminianism. Why is it all broken down into so many different denominations?
Well, that's what we were discussing on Facebook. That led to your invitation there. I was saying my nephew believes that, one of my relatives, who is a dispensationalist, one of the dispensationalists killed his non-dispensationalist wife over the issue. So I don't know that that's true or not.
Seems pretty extreme.
Yeah, but that's how Christians are. We really do take our religion seriously at times, and sometimes our greatest enemies are our fellow Christians.
Do you see that? But I mean, I've never heard an atheist say sometimes my biggest enemies are fellow atheists. I've never heard that in my life. I don't think I'm ever.
Christianity, does it?
Do what?
Doesn't reflect well on Christianity.
I would agree. I would say it kind of shines a spotlight on the irrationality. Because that's what I do on my channel is I look at irrational beliefs and the irrational behaviors that they lead to. Like, how many times has an atrocity been committed where someone has said God was the driving force behind that atrocity, going all the way back to the Crusades? That very first pope, the very first pope that said, go out there and do this for the church, and any sins you commit will be forgiven.
That's we're guilty.
So, okay, so why hold on to these?
Well, I gave you the one example why, I want to believe in Jesus the way, John portrays him. And I want to believe in the Bible the way the Bible portrays itself. But, if you do succeed in proving that wrong, it doesn't necessarily eliminate God.
Right.
But, what God do I turn to? Perhaps the, God I'd be most comfortable with is the God atheist Arthur C. Clarke wrote about in Rama Revealed. It's a God that's doing this big science experiment, and we're part of it.
So more like a deistic God, like deism. Right. And you see, that's interesting that we come to that conclusion, because as trends are showing in the United States, actually across the world, that theism is on the decline, and deism is on the incline. So theism in favor of these, not atheism or agnosticism.
Right.
Those are pretty much, I mean, those are increasing as well, but not to the extreme that theism is giving way to deism, which I feel is a very, very good thing, because it's really hard to strap on a suicide vest and go into a crowded shopping place if you just believe in like a standard deity. You definitely can do that for Allah, but it's really hard to do that for like a nondescript God that is not personal in your life.
Right.
And may have created everything and then just left with no evidence of its existence. And that's where I'd like us to get. Eventually, I see us getting there, and I hope to facilitate that transition. So ultimately, it comes down to evidence is evidence, and the evidence is pretty much backed up. There may be gaps in that, but just putting God in there as an answer or an explanation, that's just God of the gaps. We don't want to, when we're evaluating evidence, we want to make sure we do it as unbiased as possible, because if we evaluate evidence through the lens of prior held belief, that's confirmation bias. That means our results are going to be contaminated. We've essentially, we've broken our conclusion because the conclusion is coming from a subjective slant. I think this is true, so therefore when I look for evidence, I'm going to be trying to reaffirm my belief. That's problematic. So when we come at it from as objective a place as possible, that's when we come to the results that we have. But even then, evolution is true, abiogenesis is true, formation of the planet, it's like the planet is 4.5 billion years old, whatever. It really doesn't matter. I mean, the observable universe is like 93 billion light years across. And according to the theory of cosmic inflation, the actual universe is like 150 sextillion times larger than that. So that, stuff we'll never see. So yeah, you could fit God in these gaps, but we don't want to do God of the gaps. We don't want to have confirmation bias, and we don't want to take positions that basically say, I don't believe in this thing because it doesn't. Believing in evolution, accepting the evidence for what it shows, does not take you away from your God. It puts you more in line with Christianity, as a matter of fact, with the majority of Christianity, which then would bridge the divide between what you believe and what they believe, and remove the capacity for more problems. So why take a position that you inherently know will cause headaches when it costs you nothing in faith or anything to bridge those gaps between your fellow Christians? How do you reconcile that?
Well, for one thing, I do think there is a cost. As I said, I'd be taking a different view of Jesus. Jesus claimed Scripture was infallible. Jesus is made out to be by John as the creator. And I don't see a problem with the Jews interpreting their scriptures differently, so that they're still waiting for a Messiah or a messianic age, depending on which sort of Jew they are. But yeah, I'm not asking for, let's say, the my Calvinist friends to jump over to Arminianism just because I'm there, nor will I switch things just to make it easier for them to get along with me. I think we should get along, and some of us can and some of us don't. But I don't see let's say you having 99 points of evidence and me having one necessitates the need for me to abandon that one little shred that I have.
Well, you look at that. If I have 99 pieces of evidence that are peer-reviewed, they're backed by predictive modeling, and they continue to affirm themselves over and over and over and over again over 100 years, and then you have one that popped up in the last 5 years. You're looking at it. It's like kind of like I've got this hill and I've got Mount Everest. You've got a hill, I've got Mount Everest. Mine is the more defensible position. But you say, nope, mine is.
I'm not saying
well,
but I'm still clinging to my hill. And,
yeah, but the invitation is to come up to the more defensible position. It's like you're down there on that hill and you say yours is the most defensible. I'm up here on Mount Everest and say mine is the most defensible. And here's all the evidence as to why it is. You say, no, I'm hanging on to my hill. But mine is more defensible, and I'm extending you an invitation to come to my more defensible position. And you're like, nope, I'm good. I'm good. You kind of see how that doesn't suss out, right?
Well, I've seen plenty of people go over to your hill, maybe not all in such a rational manner, but yeah, people do switch.
Sometimes they do, and the objective of my channel is not to deconvert people. It's not. I honestly, I personally, I don't care what people believe. What I do care about, where I draw the line, is the behaviors that are influenced by those beliefs. So, like, for example, when we have people in the government who are making legal decisions or legislative decisions that are based upon their personal beliefs, like in a God or whatever faith that they're with, when they make those decisions and those decisions apply to everyone in the nation, then I have a problem with that, because that is not an objective standard to look at. That is the secular way in this great country full of so many different faiths and so many different cultures. With this great country, the laws we have need to be equal representation. Everybody needs equal representation by the law. When you pass laws that are influenced by a particular faith, that's problematic, because that's technically a violation of the First Amendment. That is passing a law that favors a particular belief or ideology. And that's bad. But we have that currently. We have legislators, to both state and federal, who do this. And then we have groups that fight against them and try to shut those things down. Or they'll use legitimate legislation. Like, this is an infrastructure bill, but let's sneak this in because, my God says I need to do this, or my belief justifies us putting it in here. And then it ends up killing the infrastructure bill because we don't want that very, very bad thing to pass that doesn't represent everybody equally. This is problematic. So I don't mind what people believe. They just they shouldn't be taking those beliefs into Congress, into the Supreme Court, or
have the right to vote,
or to the poll. Well, people do, but these ideologies, but emotionally based ideologies, have no place at the voting booth or at the federal or state level. They have no place at the voting booth. They have no place in the Supreme Court. They have no place in Congress. They have no place in the presidency. Because when that person holds a basic ideology that is contradictory to other people's ideology, and that person is supposed to govern everybody, that's problematic. If only one faith is represented by the leader, then that leader will govern by the dictates of that faith. But when you have 100 faiths that he is governing over, you're going to have problems. But you don't have this problem with an atheist leader who will go by evidence, reason, rationality, fairness across the board, mathematics.
Mao Zedong, Stalin, Lenin, those guys, atheist leaders?
No, they were not. No. Chinese mysticism is not atheism. Okay, believing the emperor is essentially God on earth, that's essentially China. Okay, that's that the emperor, that the person who leads it is essentially the incarnation of God on earth. That's why he is unquestionable. So no, just because they're in their ideologies, and Stalin was not born and raised atheist.
Well, I know that. He was orthodox.
And his valuations of life were subjective, just as like everybody else's valuations of life are subjective. There can't be an objective standard. Even if there was a God, it's not objective. Because if God is the biggest, baddest thing on the block, and God says what morality is, then morality is subjective to God. if morality were objective, it would be true regardless of the existence of a God. Then that would just be God enforcing what was objective. But God doesn't do that. God sets the standard by God's terms. So that means morality is subjective to God, and we know it's subjective by the Bible because God once laid down the rules for slavery in Leviticus and Deuteronomy. Said slavery, these are the rules for it. Different rules for Gentiles than Jews. These are the rules and the laws by which slavery will be conducted. But now today, we pretty much agree across the board, atheists and Christians, that slavery is immoral. Slavery is an immoral act.
Right.
Owning another human being is property. Well, that means that God's definition changed. That what God declared to be moral changed. Slavery was once moral. Slavery is no longer moral. Okay. So is that God trailing behind humanity? Because I don't remember reading once ever that God laid it down, thou shalt not own a human being as property. God never laid that rule down. We came up with that. So even Christ said, slaves, obey your masters, even the cruel ones.
Right.
So even Christ backed slavery. So in that respect, where is that God following behind us, or did I miss something? Did God say, thou shalt not own other human beings as property? Because if God's will changes, morality changes. Morality is subjective. There cannot be any objective morality.
That is a tough question. Here in the United States, we fought quite a war over that issue, and I'm glad the Yankees won. But
well, I mean, it's not a tough question for atheists. It's a problem. It's a tough question for Christians,
right?
Because when we look at it, remove God from the equation. You should be able to ask, let's remove God from the equation and then look at it from that perspective. What if there is? So let's ask a question. Let's make a hypothesis. The hypothesis is there is no God. Okay, cool. So what do we got to work with? We've got the earth. We got humans. We've got subjective human ideologies. We've got changing cultures over time. We've got religions, languages, cultures, all of the things societies evolving over time as humans move about the planet, because humans were nomadic once, and now we pretty much sit down, discovered, agriculture, became more sedentary, so on and so forth. These things make sense, and there's no mystery to them, which is good, because the more mystery, the more we are controlled by that mystery. We explain things so that they don't control us. That's the purpose of it. Like if I was quoting, a good point would be Vision from the Avengers films. I don't know what this gem in my head is, but I do know, but I want to understand it, because the more I understand it, the less it controls me. And maybe one day I will control it. Well, it's the same thing. What we don't know controls us. So then we go to explore it so it doesn't control us anymore. And then maybe we can use it to our benefit.
Right. But, just getting back to slavery, supposing, slavery had been absolutely forbidden. I was just...
well, where at?
Slavery here in Arizona that happened, back around 1850, that if it hadn't been, the slavery option wasn't open, those people would have been dead. So
well, yeah, but humans dictated that slavery was wrong. God didn't do that.
Right.
So why wouldn't, if God knew omnisciently that we would eventually come to this conclusion, why wouldn't God just save us all the trouble and lay it down in the 10 Commandments? Maybe because even then lying can save lives. So lying is not always immoral.
Right.
Like people protecting Jews from the Holocaust, the people who lied to save lives, that's a good thing. So why not just take off the 9th commandment and just put in, thou shalt not own other human beings as property. All are made in my image. That sounds pretty good.
But I think it would have, turned out for the worse.
By eliminating slavery from the get-go? or at least setting a rule.
All those people would have been killed.
No, not necessarily, because he would have to command them to go be killed. Why command them to go be killed? Why do that?
There you do have the commandments for genocide. There's an issue.
So why do this? Why command anyone to murder anybody else? I expressly say, thou shalt not kill, unless I break my own commandment and I decide when to do it under particular circumstances. You see, when you look at that, when you look at things like from a supposedly omnibenevolent God that only revealed itself to a small tribe of human beings, while all the other human beings all around the planet, from the Aboriginals who were in Australia to the Hittites that were just north of them, everywhere else is developing their own cultures, their own religions, their own ideologies, their own belief structures. But this one group of people who say their God revealed itself to them, they're the ones who are correct? And they have the right to go and genocide other people?
Well, in Romans 2, it seems that Paul would disagree with you, because it speaks of those people that don't have the Bible, the law, having the knowledge of God in their hearts, their conscience.
But that's presupposing. That's the Bible confirming the Bible again. That's circular reasoning. That's assuming that makes the assumption. That's Paul making the assumption that God is real and that the Bible is true. That because the people don't have it, they're this. That still doesn't demonstrate the truth of the Bible. That simply demonstrates that one small group of people believe they have the right to murder others because their God told them to do that. When it's funny, because the Hittites, they had their own God, which was actually Indo-European in origin. They had their own God and their own belief structure, but their God never told them to go murder the Jews. And they were bigger. They could have easily done it. The Hittites could have easily swept through and destroyed Judea. Easily. But they had no reason to. There's nothing to gain. The loss of life is unnecessary. We don't gain any, there's no resource allocation. And all it does is actually technically put us even closer to a potential enemy, which was the Egyptians, by moving further south. So the Hittites, their God never said, hey, those guys down below, those Jews, they're dangerous. You need to go wipe out Judea. The Hittite God never said that. The Syrian gods never said that. Ra never told the Egyptians to go and wipe them out. Why all the other gods didn't seem to have a problem with the Jews, but the Jews is such a problem with everybody else? Why is that?
That's a good question there, but there is the one incident where the Pharaoh commanded all the male babies to be slain. That Exodus.
Oh, so okay. But that was in his own territory. That wasn't him. That wasn't him invading somewhere else. Right. That was in his own controlled land.
His own slaves.
Which they're the sovereign, so they can do what they want. It may be immoral and it may be disgusting, but he can run his kingdom the way he ran his kingdom.
Right.
And the Egyptian Empire was pretty powerful and long-lasting. As a matter of fact, the Egyptian Empire existed during the time of the so-called flood. The 4th, 5th, and 6th. Pretty much debunked that. I mean, what is it? It's specifically when you're talking about the flood and everything, going back to that, when we're talking about the Egyptians, sorry, I brought it up right here in my resource files. Oh, dang, wait, did I lose it?
Well, you might think I'm crazy, but I go with the Emmanuel Velikovsky, timeline.
How do you reconcile that against the evidence?
Well, Emmanuel Velikovsky presents his evidence. The secular or liberal Christian people present their evidence, and the evidence conflicts. But the generally accepted timelines, chronologies are the ones you're bringing up.
Okay, sorry, it was here. My bad. The Egyptians, dynasties 4, 5, and 6. The Mesopotamians, early dynastic period. The Sumerians, early dynastics 3A and 3B. The Peruvians, Norte Chico civilization. The Chinese, the Neolithic dynasty. All of these existed during the time of the supposed flood. And there's no record of any flood in their histories. They were all very good at keeping records. This is not like even the Aboriginals who were still using cave paintings in order to tell their stories. These are actual like historical record keepers, and they were meticulous about these things. Some of these cultures even made advancements in astronomy that we base our stuff on today. So these were very well adept cultures, and they have no record of this flood occurring at the time that the Judean one did, which technically is lifted from the Sumerian myth, which is where, from Gilgamesh. Because Gilgamesh, the story of Gilgamesh predates the flood by hundreds of years. I think 600 years, 300 years, one of those, hundreds of years, centuries. The Epic of Gilgamesh predates the Judean flood. And the Judean flood in the Bible is almost a copy. You could say to the extent almost plagiarized from the Epic of Gilgamesh. The circumstances, the boat, the animals, everything across the board.
Well, if that is the case, maybe we should go with that, Sumerian creator god, which I recall as being Tiamat. And, in fact, I was suspended for 3 months from one of these, the Creationism Facebook group when I took exception to Tiamat and liberal Christian theology in that respect. So that is an issue.
Well, it's interesting to say the least. Now, I would say, because we're about an hour and a half in, and I've got other things I want to jump onto, but I will say this: it's been a real pleasure talking with you, Dale. This went a lot better than the last one did. The last one, whoo, that one.
You can do that. We are crazy.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I would say
some of us.
Some, yeah. I would say some. I would examine like why you hold on to a particular thing. Which is what my interest in it as a forensic psychologist is the how, the hows and whys that people do, what people do.
I'll share a few details, over on social media with some of the particulars so you can know what I was talking about.
Okay, cool. All right then, awesome. And of course, if you want, you can let them know that you had the discussion with me and it wasn't the satanic,
right,
the iniquity that a lot of them think that it is.
You certainly did a good job.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Well, Dale, I wish you all the absolute best, and I hope you have a safe holiday. If you do any traveling or stay home, I hope everybody is healthy and safe. So until then, I'll talk to you later, okay?
Okay.
All right, boss. You have a safe one. Take care. All right. Let me get this set. Okay. I will say thank you to him real quick. I hope everybody enjoyed that little discussion. I'm going to thank him again on Messenger. All right. He was cool. I mean, that was cool. It definitely went a hell of a lot better than the last one did. It really, really did. So, man, oh, man. But I hope you all enjoyed that. I hope you all enjoyed that discussion there. So I see we had a lot more people jump in or come in today. So let me see if I can catch some people and say hi to them. I got to go back a little bit. So before I see someone new. Okay, so I saw Vesta Freya in. Good to see you, Vesta. John Rapp, what's up, dude? Good to see you. Let me see. I think Microraptor, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you to all the moderators for handling the craziness that gets popped in. I know, just go ahead and shut them down. Smack Dab's in the house. Good to see you, Smackdown. Or Smack Dab, sorry, Smack Dab. Good to see you. Let me see. I think that's all the way back to the beginning. Oh, and Trevor Lund, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. And a whole bunch. I see a whole bunch. I think just Robert Kessler just went to woo. Yep, it's pretty much the woo. I think I got, oh, and Free Naturalist, good to see you. And Michael Berman, good to see you. Fantastic. Oh, God, so many people in here. And Just Call Me Abby, good to see you. Cindy Johnson says, oh my God, this guy is scary. Good to see you. I also saw And the Jord said, good to see you, and Jord. Fantastic for you to be here. And I think I'm caught up. Mark Short, good to see you. And you're right. There's no way that Hovind believes the crap that he spews. Not for a second. He knows it's garbage. More on that investigation in the future. Once we get something really, really solid. All right, cool. I'm caught up there, but I think I see some more people coming in. So, Vesta Freya, what was this? Little Dickens Homo naledi between 226 and 335,000 years ago found the remains of at least 15 individuals of various ages in a cave in South Africa, and the remains of multiple individuals in a chamber some distance away from the initial discovery. Excellent point out, Vesta. Excellent. Correct. All right. I think I remember Erica Gutsa Gibbon talking about that on one of her MTD debates. So fantastic. All right. Yep. Little Dickens, no worldwide flood shown in the geologic record. None whatsoever. The geophysics does not hold up. So unfortunately, no. Let me see. Going to create man. John Rapp. I'm going to create man and woman with original sin. Then I'm going to impregnate a woman with myself as her child so that I can be born. Once alive, I will kill myself as a sacrifice to myself. Yeah. Save you from the sin I originally condemned you to. Ta-da! Yes, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Just absolutely silly. I think I said hi to everybody there. I'm going to try and skip back down to the bottom so I don't miss it, so I can catch up. Demon Orb, good to see you, Demon Orb. I see you in there. And Mr. Malort, thank you so much for being here, all the way from Chicago. Good to see you, Mr. Malort. Nimrod, good to see you. Logical Hillbilly, what's up? All and members of the Godless Army. So Logical Hillbilly and and I see Mr. Malort as well, members of the Godless Army. Thank you all so much for your support. I do appreciate it. Y'all enable me to continue doing this and actually, making new content. John Rapp, I am saying don't believe in God. Yeah. Monkey in the Works, good to see you. A member of the Godless Army. I do appreciate it, Monkey in the Works. Thank you so much for being here. Charlie Welch is in the house, another member of the Godless Army with the Cryotangelo emojis. Yep, and Turing Test 2, another member of the Godless Army. Good to see you, Turing Test 2. And I think I saw, Clive Wells. I love it when Clive Wells does that. Good day, John Rapp. How are you all doing? Because he's upside down because he's in Australia. Or other people are in Australia. Reading it so that they can read it. Robert Kaslo's in says Yog Sothoth is the one true God. I didn't want to get into Lovecraftian stuff, but hey, yeah, he's up on the wall for a reason. Melody Joy is in the house. Good to see you, Melody Joy. Thank you so much for being here. And Iron Charioteer is in here. It says, if you can be made to believe absurdities, you can be made to commit atrocities. Voltaire. Yep. Absolutely, I totally agree with that. He was correct on that. And on his deathbed, this is not a time to be making new enemies, which was in classic Voltaire fashion. Oh, great stuff. Yeah, that's an interesting thing, is evangelical Christians misquoting or flat out fabricating the final words of atheists, like of Anton LaVey or Voltaire, saying, they said this, blah, blah, blah. I was like, nope, they don't. They didn't. And I got into it with Rad Vlad. About that, going back and forth. This is what their final words were. It's like, no, here's all the documentation. Here's the documentation for the Satanic Temple. But yeah, they got to make their argument somehow. Oh, going all the way down. I don't see any new faces. I want to make sure I said hi to everyone because I'm just a masochist like that. I got to get everybody. Bob Nodell's Gyroscope's in the house. Good to see you. His sister just rang me, so I missed most of it. I'll have to review it. It wasn't bad, Bob. It really wasn't. It went well. It really did. So I hope you enjoy it. Martin H., good to see you. Says, I'm just hiding at the back here because I'm stalking Clive Wells, but don't tell him, okay? I won't tell Clive Wells that you're stalking him. I won't. Your secret's safe with me. Plot hole. Yeah, there he is with all the Darth tapes. Good. I love all the Darth tapes. And I think that's it. I missed Mama Tina. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was scrolling through quick. So if I missed Mama Tina, there she is. Tina Jones in the house. Good to see you, Tina. Thank you so much for being here. And look at all these amazing people, all these amazing members of the Godless Army. And if you are new to the channel, if you're new here, first time here, obviously you can join the Godless Army. It's 99 cents a month. It enables me to make this content. And of course, you get the channel badge, which is the expanding brain or expanding mind. And then, of course, all the cool emojis that I make for you. So thank you all so much to all those who support me. So now that we're through that, and I wanted to talk to this creationist to see, what they. I think we pretty much came to the conclusion that they believe the things that they believe because they want to believe them, even in the face of all the mounting evidence and the ability to reduce conflict within Christianity, which is what Christians saying that they want to do, love amongst all like that brotherhood and stuff. It has the chance to reduce the chances for conflict, refuses to do so. That seems strange to me, almost contradictory to what Christianity is putting forward. But people are entitled to believe what they want to believe. I'm not going to stop them from believing what they want to believe. I don't want to, but they need to be able to look at what they believe critically and the entailments of what they believe critically. So I do hope y'all enjoyed that little chat. Now, there's some other things that I wanted to get to because there's so many cool things going on in the world. So many cool things. Oh, dear. Before we jump to it, because I have things I want to share. I do. I have things that I want to share with y'all. I have like a slide. I have like pictures, slideshow kind of thing I want to show. Oh. Michael Raptor says, Godless Army? Can I have a godless peaceful activities instead? You can be in the support line for the Godless Army. Every army needs support structure. And people at the back, with water, food, medical attention, a copy of Hume and Epicurus. These are important things to have. So you are more than welcome to hang back and support the members of the Godless Army as we stand around and point at things that don't make any sense and the people that believe in those things. So you're more than welcome to hide out there. Plottle says, JL, we must speak soon. Are you talking about now? Must we speak now? I'd be happy to have you on. Plothole, if you want to come on, you're more than welcome. Yes, Donnie does that. The logistics division. Every army needs a logistics division. Robert Castle says, did you see the interview with a vampire on Skeptic Generation? I did not, but I did know of it. I didn't watch it because I was kind of like, you're not, it's like, come on. Really? Just because you engage in bloodletting doesn't make you a vampire, but I saw it. It came up in my feed. I didn't watch it though. I guess I'm gonna have to watch it now. Boomer says my spiritual healer is very disappointed in you, JL. Why? What did I do? I didn't do anything. Stop looking at me. And Micro Raptor with a smiley face. Absolutely. Tony Regime would like to remind everybody that sharing is caring unless you have herpes. Very true. It's very true. And also, violence is never the answer. Unless the question is, what does violence spell? And the truth will always set you free unless you committed murder. So, JL just made you Ephialtes. Offline with Hotkins. So it's a conference. Why am I the traitorous hunchback? That's not cool. They'll use the goat path to get behind us. Angel Gamer, good to see you. Says, does the Godless Army have a chaplain though? It does, but he never shows up. We don't know where he is. Or she. We don't even know that. Who is this person? Identify yourself. Robert Castle said the guy is as crazy as Nomad Santa. Oh, he wasn't that bad. I've obviously demonstrated I've spoken to worse. Boomer says, you drained the souls of 666 children again, didn't you? I had to stop at that point because I had to go live. So Boomer says, I think I'm going to start referring to you as BTD instead of JL, like Bridge the Divide. And thank you, Clive Wells, for that little emoji. The bridge divide. That was cute. I like that. Technically, it was two bridges. That technically would be dividing the bridge or bridge. I see. How would you do that? I'm not sure. Yes, Robert Castle, Sparta. Absolutely. Microraptors is the plot of who or what is Ephialtes? Ephialtes was the traitorous hunchback at the Battle of Thermopylae. He betrayed King Leonidas by revealing the hidden goat path to the Persians, allowing them to flank the Persians and allowing them to flank the Greeks and surround them. And so the siege of Thermopylae ended because Ephialtes betrayed the Spartans. And Stellarum Celsius says, "Don't mind me. I'll just be over there putting holes in things." Good to hear. Good to hear. And Robert says, "I meant the vampire on Skeptic Generation." Boomer says, "You're on Xerxes' side, aren't you?" I'm on King Xerxes' side. Because King Xerxes is a good friend of mine. And the George says, "We don't bridge divides. We divide the bridges and conquer them." Plato says, "That's not historically accurate." She asked who Ephialtes was. Okay? And he did. He betrayed the Spartans. Yes, Microraptor, the hunchback of 300. Hang on a sec. He says that's not, I was like, Ephialtes. Ephialtes of Trachis. Ephialtes of Trachis, although Herodotus spelled it Ephialtes, was the son of Eurydimus of Malice. He betrayed his homeland in hope of receiving some kind of reward from the Persians by showing the army of Xerxes a path around the allied Greek position at the pass of Thermopylae, which helped them win the Battle of Thermopylae in 480 BC. Boom! So yes. Plot hole. Your face is not historically accurate. Bridging. I dig it. Yeah. Tony Regime says, "Wasn't Xerxes that alien that took on the form of that preacher's husband to try and have sex with her?" That's funny. Oh, Martin H says, "It was a translation error. He had a lunch pack." Read that again. It says, "Not historically accurate." That came directly from the allied Greek land forces, which Herodotus states numbered no more than 4,200 men, had chosen Thermopylae to block the advance of the much larger Persian army. Although this gap between the Trachinian cliffs and the Malian Gulf was only wide enough for a single carriage, it could be bypassed by a trail that led over the mountains south of Thermopylae and joined the main road behind the Greek position. Herodotus notes that this trail was well known to the locals who had used it in the past for raiding the neighboring Phocians. The Persians used the trail to outflank the defenders. The Spartan king Leonidas sent away most of the Greeks, but he himself remained behind with a rear guard composed of his men, the Thespian contingent, and a Theban detachment. Ephialtes expected to be rewarded by the Persians, but this came to nothing when they were defeated at the Battle of Salamis. He then fled to Thessaly. The Amphistians at Pyle had offered a reward for his death. According to Herodotus, he was killed for an apparently unrelated reason by Athenades of Trachis around 470 BC, but the Spartans rewarded Athenades all the same. So, and Herodotus notes that two other men were accused of betraying this trail to the Persians: Onidas, a native of Charistus and son of Phanagoras, and Corydalus, a native of Anticyra. Nevertheless, he argues Ephialtes was the one who revealed the trail because the deputies of the Greeks, the Pylagore, who must have had the best means for ascertaining the truth, did not offer the reward on the heads of Onidas and Corydalus, but for that of Ephialtes. There you go. So there you go, man. Gee, yo, mama isn't historically accurate. Oh, no. Okay. No, I never said he was a Spartan. I said he was the traitorous hunchback. But the okay, so that was Frank Miller's version. And most likely coming from the fact that the name Ephialtes, after his betrayal, the name Ephialtes carried a lasting stigma. And it came to mean nightmare in the Greek language and to symbolize the archetypal traitor in Greek culture. So yes, the hunchback idea was Frank Miller's addition. He added that to that. So no, he was not necessarily a hunchback or deformed in any way. He was just a douchebag who betrayed the Spartans so he could capitalize from the Persians, and that never came to fruition because they were crushed at the Battle of Salamis. I didn't say the movie isn't historically accurate. The Persian immortals didn't look like that. They had wicker shields. I'm not kidding. This is ridiculous. People knew where I was going with that. All right, a traitor. To quote ROTLD, you mean the movie lied? Yes, Sir Little Wolf. The movie was not exactly accurate. Okay, so Plothole wants to talk. Oh, hey, just call me Abby. Good to see you. Says power naps through this discussion. Absolutely. So yes, there's other things that I want. Oh, John Rapp says I've got a 59th coming up. I am certain I'm not historically accurate. You don't look a day over 58. Boomer says, by Allah, I will destroy the next person who says Xerxes was black. Wasn't he caramel or honey colored? Wasn't he honey? Like a golden brown? Steamy Cup of Reason, good to see you. Another member of the Godless Army. Thank you so much, Steamy Cup of Reason. Good to see you. It says, hello, folks. Hello to you, too. I tell you what. Martin H says they had a battle over some salami. Yes, the battle of salamis. That's what it was. All right, so okay. The reason I'm kind of like I'm weighing it here is I think I have to go to the restroom. And yeah, Microraptor, that's brilliant. The Godless Army, it does Warren stuff. I love it. I absolutely love it. That's brilliant. That's all the love. That just warms my heart. Thank you, Microraptor. That's very good. I think I have to use the restroom. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I do because I'm sitting here drinking Diet Coke before I jump into the stuff that I want to talk about, which namely is a whole bunch of like really, really cool stuff. Actually, like I've tried to be like really prepared for this. So I'll tell you what. I'm going to step away for a brief second. I'm going to go to the restroom. I'm going to play the music and like the kind of beginning music. And I know it's just begin momentarily, but I'm going to play that real quick. And then I'm going to come back because I've really got to use the restroom. And unfortunately, I don't have anybody here on the stream to entertain you while I'm gone. So hopefully you will enjoy the music. So please enjoy this music. And then we'll get back and we'll jump into the bulk of what I wanted to talk about, which I think is a lot of really, really interesting stuff. And we'll just keep going. How's that sound? It's a Saturday. Fuck it. We'll just keep going. I intend to mute first. See? I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I just realized I couldn't hold it any longer. All right, so the things I wanted to get into today. All right. No, it's remember because that was not the whole live stream. So we're going to keep going because I've got stuff that I wanted to bring up. So first and foremost, let's do this. Let me get over to here. So we're going to share our screen. We're going to share the screen. Share. Oh, it's already shared. There we go. Add stream. There we go. Boom. First and foremost, no Spider-Man spoilers, please. Absolutely none. No Spider-Man spoiler. I haven't seen it yet, and I really, really want to, considering it's really, really good. But I know people out there have seen it, and no spoilers yet, because I want to see myself. I see this is a really cool poster because I see the Green Goblin and Doc Ock up in there, which is really cool, and of course all kinds of cool stuff. So I haven't seen it yet, but I intend to. So no spoilers on that. So moving forward. Yes. Oh, I may have to increase that. Let's increase that. So I've been having a lot of fun talking with some people on Facebook, and this is a big thing to come up. This is a picture from Glen Rose, Texas. And Glen Rose, Texas, these are the dinosaur tracks in Glen Rose, Texas, that some people claim that there are human footprints beside, which there are not. There are no human, that they are all either fake. Well, they all are fake hoaxes, or they were misidentifications. Something else like that, or because as you know, when you go down to Glen Rose, they actually have a lecture they give down there as to why these were faked. As in the during the Great Depression, there were many people that went down there to try and create fake footprints and stuff, and try to sell them to make a quick buck. So that was an interesting thing that came across. But yeah, so I've been dealing with a lot of this, but as recently, people think that, humans and dinosaurs live together. This is one of the creation arguments that people, that creationists bring up, that have brought up multiple times when I'm talking to them. So what else do I have here? Let me go, dang it. Oh, do I have to zoom back out? There we go. Look at this bad boy. Okay. So this is the first big thing I wanted to talk about. Anybody, in case anybody brings it up. Oh, yes, Robert Caslow, yes, Aaron Raw has done a video on those, debunking them as well. So they're also known as the Paluxy trail track marks, or the Paluxy tracks. They've been debunked a number of times. So now this bad boy is really, really interesting. So say hello to the UN. Let me actually make it a little bit bigger. Say hello to a new statue at the UN. Which is the what do they call this bad boy? Which is the a guardian for international peace and security, which has been put up in the Visitors Plaza outside UN headquarters. Now, you may see this come along with other young Earth creationists or other hardcore evangelicals, that the erection of this statue is a sign of the end times. I have been dealing with this. And straight up, it is not a sign of the end times. So, interesting stuff, interesting information. So, our guardian for international peace and security. This is now sits at the Visitors Plaza outside UN headquarters. The guardian is a fusion of jaguar and eagle, and donated by the government of Oaxaca, Mexico. It is created by artists Jacobo and Maria Angeles, and they donated this as kind of like a testament to old Aztec tradition, and also by the color scheme, you can see that it is painted in the color motifs of the Aztecs. So, which I thought was really, really cool. This is a very, very cool statue that was put up. I think it's awesome because it speaks to the heritage of the Aztecs and the cultural heritage of Mexico. I really like it. As a matter of fact, and another thing you'll hear is that a lot of hardcore Christians will say it's no chance, or that it's no coincidence that it's painted in the LGBTQ colors, that they're trying to normalize homosexuality. There's all kinds of weird arguments against this bad boy, but he is really, really cool looking. And if anybody is interested, I actually brought it up, that Jacobo and Maria have their own Etsy store where they do lots of different stuff. They do lots of different artwork in the same style, and they sell them, little small pieces that they sell on their Etsy store. And I thought that was actually pretty cool. So, and I'll actually now I've put that up in a banner, but I'm actually going to link that in the chat. Because their store deserves a little bit of credit because they do some really amazing work over there. You don't have to buy anything. I'm not promoting it, but I think their artwork is really cool to look at, and it's, pays homage to their heritage, and I really like that. So there you go. That Etsy link is in there if you just want to check out more of their artwork and the inspiration behind what they do. But this bad boy was put up, and of course, the evangelicals are screaming that this is a sign of the end times. That this beast, that this creature resembles the beast from Revelation. It does not at all by any stretch of the imagination. But, they'll look for anything to claim it. And, of course, I wanted to bring this up because even though they say they had a problem with this one, they did not have a problem with, oh, dang it, I mixed it up. Hang on 1 second. I could have sworn I put it in there. Yes, that was a picture of Betty White that people saw. Oh, there it is. They didn't have a problem with this one. Okay? When this one went up, this is also outside the UN, and it is a statue called Good versus Evil. Good versus Evil. This is essentially a depiction of St. George killing the dragon. Okay? But it's a new kind of take on it. So the Soviet Union... this was presented by the Soviet Union in 1990 on the occasion of the 45th anniversary of the UN. And this statue was put up. It was created by Zurab Tsereteli, a native of Georgia. The sculpture depicts St. George slaying the dragon, which I think is pretty cool. The dragon is created, but the dragon down below, as you can see, it looks kind of weird. So check that stuff out. If you look down there, it's not your typical dragon, is it? No, because the dragon is created from fragments of Soviet SS-20 missiles and United States Pershing nuclear missiles that were destroyed under the terms of the the IRNF Treaty of 1987, the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty of 1987. It is a vivid symbol of disarmament. But given the Christian undertones of St. George versus the dragon, no one said anything when this bad boy went up because it is a symbol of disarmament. But immediately they will jump and say that that is a symbol of the end times. So you see the break in their epistemology. You say how they are selective in the things they want to believe. So I wanted to bring that one up. I found that to be very, very interesting. So yeah. And plus, I think the St. George and the Dragon one, I think is a very, very cool sculpture. I think that's just neat. That's extremely cool. I like that one. For the next step, yes, a religious hypocrism, religious hypocrisy. Yes, Fred Knotts. Shocking. Absolutely. So I will be Robert Caslow. I will get to Betty White here in just a second. So on this next one, so if anybody's wondering, that's Nephilim free right there. So that's Nephilim free. As anybody who was curious, and that's Gutsick Gibbon, that's Erica right there, and Benjamin, you really can't see his face. But Nephilim free ran from the debate. He completely blew up the debate. There will be no debate against Nephilim free. Every single format that was presented to him was shut down. He did not want to debate me on any of those formats. Essentially, single podium Oxford style was what I think that is the best, especially especially for debating scientific deals, because there's evidence you have to present, and that evidence has to be presented you need time to be able to do that without over talking. And when your opponent can't talk, when your opponent is muted, and I would have been muted as well, so you can deliver that evidence unimpeded. That's what's important. He didn't like that. He wanted to do like 20-minute intros with like an hour of just like open back and forth. And that is a shit show. That is the reason why MC Toon does not want to go on MDD anymore. That's why MDD is just not great. This is, and he wants that. That's what Nephilim wants it, as evidenced by the last time we did a live stream when Nephilim was being moderated and he rage quit. Just without a word, just left the debate and left his opponent all alone. Because that's the kind of guy he is. So, yeah, Nephi is a coward. and he will not debate me. He refused to. He blew up the whole thing, kind of went off on MC Toon in his email. It's absolutely silly. So yeah, he's full of junk, and I will not let him live that down. Every time I'm in Discord, I will remind him if I see him online, hey, you ran, and everybody needs to know it. So I intend to. Because he was such a prick about how he went about this, about how he treated MC Toon, about how he treated me, that I'm not gonna. And I know it's petty, but I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna hammer him in front of his listeners every single time. I'm gonna slam him because he deserved it. He earned it. That's what he got. Angel Gamer said, and Neff ran away. Yep, mid debate on MDD. So I think he is. I got an email from James saying that he won't host Nephilim anymore because they go through all the trouble to set the whole thing up. Everybody takes time out of the schedules. You just bail the minute you get moderated because you want a gish gallop. I'll even say that they're terrible moderators over there. But then again, they try to moderate at least like one time, and the dude just bails. That's why it's pointless. So yeah, Nephilim, if you are listening, which I doubt you are, but if you are, you're a coward. You suck. You cannot take me. You would not win. My PowerPoint is on point. So there you go. So yeah, that was the update on that one. However, MC Toon has gotten me a new debate. He has gotten me a new debate with somebody else where he had set it up, and I've read the interactions of this person. This should be really interesting. They're not as odious, to use MC Toon's terminology. They're not as odious as Nephilim Free, but it should be interesting to say the least. It really, really should. So, but that's the update with the Nephilim Free debate. That will not be happening because he chickened out. He is a coward. All right. Next up, what was it? Was that the last? Yeah, that was on that side. So I brought up Betty White. Everybody loves Betty White. Can I get a 1 in the chat for everybody who loves Betty White? That this woman is a national treasure that should be protected at all costs. So the question is, why do I bring up Betty White at this time? Well, that is because I found the coolest thing about Betty White. I think this is absolutely cool. She turns 100 years old January 17th. January 17th is Betty White's 100th birthday, which means that all of us in this nation need to do everything in our power to protect this woman from everything so that she can make it to 100. And I think it's very, very cool because on her 100th birthday on January 17th, Fathom Events has put together a commemorative movie of her life, which has like all kinds of people everywhere, joining. She literally, yes, Fred Knott, she is literally older than sliced bread. She absolutely is. But Betty White is a national treasure, and the commemorative movie that Fathom Events will be putting on will be a one-day only showing. It'll be out on January 17th, which is Betty White, 100 years young, and it will go over pretty much her entire career. And a few things that you may not know about Betty White. That her career began in 1930 at the age of 8. 8 years old is when she started. She's been, over the course of her career, nominated for 8 Emmy Awards and a slew of other ones that she's won. First woman to produce a national TV show. First woman to ever receive an Emmy nomination, which I think is pretty badass. And she has the Guinness Book of World Records longest entertainment career in history, over 9 decades in the industry. And that is amazing. So there is a commemorative movie coming out. If you are going back to the theaters, commemorative movie coming out on January the 17th. Tickets are on sale, one day only. There's 2 showings in the day, one day only, January 17th. You can check this out at Fathom Events. So, Martin H., a few things you might not know about Betty White, like who the hell is Betty White? You don't know who Betty White is? Sacrilege. Sacrilege, my good man. All right, but yes. Oh, Clive Wilson, I literally have no idea who she is. One of the greatest actors of our time. You got to go check her out. She's on the Golden Girls. Come on. Little Dickens says, take care, folks. Time to get some food. Go get you some food. Absolutely. Go eat. Good. Thank you so much for being here, Little Dickens. So yes, Betty White is turning 100 January 17th. So everybody should know that because she is a national treasure. All right, and of course, check out Fathom Events so you can buy if you want to go and see if you love her that much, and you want to go see the commemorative movie. Go check that out. But yeah, it's really really cool. I thought that was pretty neat. I wanted to just bring that up. God, she's so adorable. She's so cool. All right, and what was the next one? The next one I want to talk about? This movie. Check out this movie, Cosmos. All right. So I know there's a lot of people. Why do I bring this movie up? Because this movie did not get a lot of press, and as I've noticed, sometimes sci-fi movies don't get, especially ones that are really really heavy on the science that try to do it right. Unless it's like Christopher Nolan's Interstellar, where it's a big blockbuster. But a lot of times, like movies like Primer, movies like Spectral, Cosmos, they don't get a lot of fanfare unless you really, really love science. And so this movie right here is currently on. Yes, Clive Wells. Yes, I saw the TV series with Carl Sagan. Absolutely. And there's also a psychological thriller called Cosmos as well. But this one is currently available on Amazon Prime. Currently available for rental there. And this is if you like science, is a fun, enjoyable, just all around good movie. And it's not horror in any way. It's about three guys who are radio astronomers, and they when they're not at work, because all three of them work in major points in the industry for like JPL and other organizations, but they're all friends from childhood, and occasionally they will go out at night and they'll just engage in the fun parts of being radio astronomers. And of course, the adventure that takes on from there. So yes, this is a hell of a fun movie. And I recommend everybody go and watch it just because it's super, super cool. If you like sci-fi stuff, especially fun science fiction, where the science they try to make it as solid as possible. As far as I can tell, Clive Wells, the science is accurate. I seriously doubt PhD Tony would start yelling at the screen. I doubt it. So definitely, I would say check it out. I wanted to recommend this movie because I love Cosmos. Stars. Billions and billions and billions of stars. So, yes, I like this movie, and I wanted to recommend it to everybody. It is currently on Amazon Prime. I think this came out in 2019? 2019, I'm pretty sure. I think 2019. Yeah, so those are the things I wanted to share with you wonderful people. John Rapp, Amazon Prime. Streaming service is on. It is currently on Amazon Prime. I have watched it a couple of times now, and because it's a good. And even then, I know the movie well enough that I can just like listen to it, and I could just fall asleep to it. It's a lot of fun. So very very cool stuff. All right, so I want to talk about the UN statue, the hypocrisy of Christians, Betty White turning 100, Cosmos movie, just to recommend it. So yeah, released 2019, stars Tom Anglin, Joshua Ford, and Arjun Singh Panam. Available on Amazon Prime. Definitely check that out there. And of course, no Spider-Man spoilers because I intend to see that. Robert Kessler, how you spell billions? Billions and billions and billions of stars. So I absolutely love. I love Carl Sagan. Hail Sagan! Absolutely. Fred Knott says, "How about all the Flirth channels taking a break? That would be nice. Is this something that is happening? That would be very cool." That'd be cool if they did. I doubt that they will. I really love. I do happen to like Team Skeptics Days of Christmas that's currently going on. That's really really awesome. That's a lot of fun. So very cool. Oh man. So what is coming up with us? With me? With what I have going on? So currently, I am finishing editing on a new created video for Bridge the Divide, which I hope you all enjoy. It's gets a little dark because it kind of like uncovers the insidious nature of evangelical Christians, and I think it's really good. It does go a little bit dark because there's some real serious implications that I talk about. I even contacted the Satanic Temple and got their opinion on this, and they forwarded it to their Activision arm to look into further. So I don't know if there's going to be anything more from there, but this is interesting stuff. Stellarium Celestia says, I'm too dizzy to type anymore. Well, eat something. Is your blood sugar low? Did you stand up too fast? Might want to get some food. Fred Knott says, Globebusters, Mitchell from Australia, both on break, and Brandon Toy just gone. Well, that's not too bad. I don't mind that at all. Eventually, they'll all go away, hopefully. Did somebody just... Oh, Mustard Orange just joined Week in Horror. Thank you so much, Mustard Orange. I do appreciate that. Just joined the Week in Horror Discord server. Awesome, where we actually, I will stream horror movies for all the fans of the podcast. So, I have a new episode coming up that will be out before the end of the year, and of course, more live streams. Depending upon things that come up or things that I want to talk about. Of course, if people want to join, they're always. I'm happy to host whoever wants. I thought that Plothole wanted to be on here momentarily, but apparently not. But that's pretty much it. So I've got the new video. I've got a new video that I'm working on that I hope that y'all enjoy. Plus, of course, I'll continue live streaming. I may do a New Year's Eve live stream or close around there. I'm not sure, depending upon what my plan is. Over at Week in Horror, we have one more episode before the year is out. And then we go into 2022. 2022. Wow, where does the time go? Who knows? It's wild, getting older. But yeah, we're going into 2022 and continuing on with season 3 of Week in Horror. I hope you all enjoyed our last guest, Jim Ojala. Jim Ojala. I mispronounced his last name again. Jim Ojala. He was a blast to have on the show. Talked about a lot of cool stuff. And the After Dark that we had with him was amazing. So I hope you all enjoy that. So that for all of those who support Week in Horror, I really do. For all the patrons who support it there, you'll get early access to that After Dark session with Jim Ojala. I think you all will really, really dig that. That's it was really cool stuff. All right. But other than that, continuing on. And of course, yes, big news. For those who are supporters of Week in Horror, keep an eye over there. As you saw, the community post. I posted up something interesting. There should be something interesting coming along. I hope to share it with everybody via the YouTube channel. So you guys can see, all you patrons can see what this is leading to, the film productions that this is leading to. And and all of our patrons get to come with us on that ride because y'all enable us to do this. My audio is being a bit weird, apparently. I'm sorry about that. Let me know if it clears up or if it's still bad. You know what? I've got to fix this. This thing is kicking me or killing me. There's my little guy. Come here, little guy. I love my little koala. I thank Irish Demon for that. I hope he's back soon. I know things are crazy out there in Ireland, but I hope he's back really, really soon. I have no idea if Jake the Asshole is still around, Robert. That dude is just crazy. Like, legit. I saw the Flat Derp's latest video was absolutely hysterical. So much fun. As a matter of fact, let me see something here real quick. So, Flat Derp. For those who don't know, who haven't seen it, this is freaking amazing. Dude, Flat Derp deserves all the subs. He really does. He deserves all the subs. I freaking love his work. I really do.
Jake the Asshole is dumb and has yellow teeth. There are no animals. You destroyed them all, you fucking idiots. Almond orchards and corn. Because it's a comedy routine. It's a comedy routine that I do for a living, where I tell the truth about you, Jern. Show this to your cult, right?
This guy's supposed to be taken seriously by anybody. That's this dude is so fucking weird. He is so weird.
Now, I'm gonna eat your heart, bitch. I'm gonna eat your heart just like I'm eating it right now. Jews don't want you to do what I'm doing. Evil
Oops,
Jews
that might get
don't
me
want you to put good
demonetized.
meat in your mouth. Motherfucker. Do not ever mess with a real comedian. I am the most funny person in existence right now.
Yeah, I don't think so. But Monkey in the Works, is he usually this sweaty? I don't know what he's doing in that room.
Primetime 99!
You think about this. He's alone in that room, like his camera or his phone or whatever. He's doing this alone in a room by himself. Like, imagine just being a fly on the wall just watching this. You know, yes, Sir Little Wolf is correct. Being a joke does not make you funny. Yeah, here we have Jake behaving as mental age. Correct, Monkey in the Works.
My job singing for the elderly got taken away by COVID, motherfucker. And the only reason I'm not singing full time is because I'm unvaccinated. So why don't you play that on your channel, bitch? And again, this is a comedy routine. This is all my comedy routine. So anyone who steals from my comedy routine, you're stealing from a comedic genius.
Yeah, I don't think so, but I really don't. Oh.
Do not steal from my comedy routine or twist up and turn any of my words against me. In fact, the old ladies who I perform for, here's the thing. When I show up, they beg for me to keep coming. Once I perform at a nursing home, all the other people are irrelevant. And then all they want to see is the asshole. So if I put my creative efforts into for old ladies, they pay me $100 an hour.
Who saw that coming? Oh, I freaking love it. Oh, man. Oh, thank you so much, Nimrod, for 20 secs. Says, who wants some sex? A treat for the doggos. My doggos will definitely appreciate it. Oh, and a little update. Yes, an update on Jingles. Jingles is actually doing really, really well. He's doing okay currently. So I do appreciate that. He will appreciate that. Shotzi will appreciate that. So thank you so much, Nimrod, for 20 secs. I do appreciate the support very, very much. So yeah, that was Donnie does that. Says Broken Record still would like to have a talk with you about board games. Yes, because I with my friend, with my business, with my partner, Cody, made our own board game. So we went through that and everything. So I guess, but yeah, we could definitely talk about board games sometimes. That would be cool. Robert Castle says, stupid question. Is this a spoof of Jake? That was Flat Derp. Flat Derp took, I guess, sections or whatever of like one of Jake's videos and just he satires the shit out of it. And I absolutely love when he does that because his content is amazing. I actually made it into his content once, which made me very happy. I was like a brief little moment, like I blink and you miss it. I popped in there just for a second. It was really cool. I was technically like a bystander to what was going down, like Irish Demon getting kicked in the head by a donkey. It was quite entertaining. Oh man. So, but yeah, I wanted to show some love to Flat Derp. Flat Derp is amazing, and that was his most recent video. So I hope you all dug that. But definitely, if you haven't subscribed to Flat Derp, definitely jump over there and give him a sub. He will big time appreciate. He deserves all the subs. His stuff is, especially his Nathan Thompson bids, they're absolutely hysterical. All right, well. Oh, just calling it says, talk about WoW like it's over 10 years old and yet people still play it. We do still play it. I still play WoW. I do. I still play World of Warcraft. Oh, John Rapp, thank you so much. For $2 Australian says, Nimrod made me do this. Well, I appreciate that, John Rapp. And I appreciate Nimrod for forcing your hand. I really do. Thank you so much for the support, John Rapp. I really do appreciate it. Charlie Welch says, Jake makes me want to bathe in sanitizer. I want to be pure. from It's Always Sunny. I want to be pure. Yeah, that's true. Very, very true. I still play World of Warcraft. I do. So I've been playing since launch, pretty much. I love the game. I can't get enough of it. I mean, as evidenced, what is it? One second. As evidenced by this. I mean, how big of a fan you have to be? I have my own Doom Hammer. So, yeah. I'm a big fan of World of Warcraft. I love this bad boy. The detail on it is amazing. Very cool. Good for LARPing, although I don't LARP. But, yes. I have a Doom Hammer. Look at that leather grip. It's amazing. Good stuff. But, yeah. What is it right there? That's Thrall's weapon. So, Angel Gamer says, I just can't support Blizzard anymore. And I understand why. I absolutely understand why. And I will be the first to admit it's most likely sunk cost fallacy. It is, I Diablo 2, the original Diablo, the original Warcraft RTSs. I still occasionally play those. I go back and play them because I just enjoy them. StarCraft as well. I don't play Overwatch anymore because Overwatch is just broken. Just Call Me. It says, nope, never played it. Need people who are patient to teach me. All my friends are not WoW fans. Well, I am the biggest WoW fan. I will make up one of the biggest. I mean, heck, come on. I have to demonstrate my WoW love for you. I went out and found Mega Bloks did special figures that were World of Warcraft inspired. So I have two of those. I have that one, which is Chen Stormstout, which is the Jade Chen Stormstout, which I hope eventually to get autographed by the guy who does Chen's voice. And then, of course, this was the other one, which was the Shaman Thrall figure with a little Doom Hammer. This guy. So yeah, well, these guys, they're fun, and I've loved it, for the longest time. I gotta be careful because I start talking about WoW, I won't stop talking about WoW. So, but I will say here. Oh, hey, Cindy Johnson says, just getting here. Went to dinner with my best friend. Not a problem. And here's I saw somebody else say something. Who was that? That said, Nimrod says, I don't play online games. I don't play well with others. That's the cool thing is I don't. If mods want to take care of Marcia George up there in the chat, that's another one of those stupid bots. So yeah, if you want to handle that. That's the cool thing about WoW is I play a hunter, and a hunter I don't have to play with anybody. I could solo the game. The only thing I can't solo is end game content, but I can pretty much handle everything. So Randolph Richardson, thank you so much for being here. Says yes, I uploaded this video. Did you? If not, why not? Please explain why. What do you believe, and why do you believe it? I appreciate that, Randolph Richardson. Thank you so much for being here. Yes, Bob Nodell, that Marcia George moment, that is a link. That's a phishing link. So mods, be sure you know the drill. If you see those pop up, just shut them down immediately. So good job. But let me see. I can show you this. Instead of having to go to, let me see here. 2 seconds. If I need to, there we go. And instead of having to log into shit and everything, I can show you this. Give me 1 sec. Actually, my number is actually higher than that, but I can show you this. Share screen. Chrome tab. There we go. And That's my character on World of Warcraft. So that's my character. That's my character, Pyranor. All of this gear. That's a transmog set that I put together. That I think I have like a whole bunch that I think looks really, really cool. Currently at my achievement score is a little bit higher. It's actually in the 7. It's like 30,705, I think, like that. So it's just it hasn't updated yet. But yeah, my achievement score is just closed in on 31,000. So, but that's my guy. That's Pyranor. That's you know. And I can back that out. Oh, thank you so much. Some old dude for $5 freedom dollars. Thank you so much for the support, dude. And I hope you're feeling better. I heard that you were in hospital, that you were getting some treatment. So I hope that you're feeling better. Thank you so much for the super chat. Just hello. Don't understand the first thing about what you were all on. The last video game I played much of was Castle Wolfenstein many decades ago. It's come a little way since then, just a little. Just a hair. Robert Caslow says, Ghost of Sparta. Yep, I do enjoy the God of War franchise. I really, really do. Thank you so much, Randolph Richardson. Says that's a solid-looking WoW character. I appreciate that very, very much. I really do. And thank you again, some old dude, for the support. I really do. Martin H. says, apparently bot is the applicable term. Yeah, it is an applicable term. Absolutely. Just Call Me Abby says, maybe JL should do a gaming channel. A Noob's Guide to WoW would be good for players like me. That would take, that would take so much time and effort. It really would. And there's a lot of other people that do it. I don't know if I have the time with Bridge the Divide, Week in Horror, now with Digital Darkness going on, with Alien X Gaming handling Digital Darkness. That's our horror gaming stream is Digital Darkness. That link, I believe, is in the description. You can go and check it out over there. But we stream horror games over there. So that would take a lot. I don't think my wife would ever see me, and she'd be very upset. Bob Adele says, Bridge the Divide, take it. He's not fishing for salmon. Take it. He's not fishing for salmon. Not fishing for salmon at all. No, fishing for your deeds is what they're fishing for. Fred Nod says, are you going to try Overwatch 2? Probably not. I got into Overwatch at the very beginning. I thought it was going to be really, really cool. As you can tell, I mean, as is apparent, I was huge into Overwatch from the start. That's how I got that. So I think it's Soldier 76. But I really dug that, and I really liked it at the beginning. But then it broke so quickly. People were using aim bots, and it was just absolutely insane, and just it just trashed it. So. But yeah, at the start, I was really big into it. I dug it. That came along with the big collector's edition, and I really dug that. So very cool stuff. Oh, it said, who did I main? I didn't really main anybody. I tried everyone, and it felt a little. It felt like a little bit like going back to Unreal Championship back in the day, but and then of course things just started getting wacky. The game was just broken from the get go, and then of course it turned into a microtransaction debacle with the loot crates, and it was just like, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I couldn't justify it. That's why I also got out of Hearthstone, because I used to be in Hearthstone really, really heavy. And Hearthstone just became a money grab. That's all that game is designed to do, is generate income. And there's no point being into it. It's almost, the entire game is virtually all RNG. Skill matters nothing in Hearthstone whatsoever. That's why the top 8, like whenever you go to like the world finals at BlizzCon, it's never the same people showing up, because it's all luck. You got people that were, I think at the last Hearthstone World Championships, you had a dude there who I think essentially lucked his way. He just started. You had guys there that had been playing since launch, and then you had a couple of guys that had just started playing like 6 months ago, and they pretty much just like bought everything. They dumped like a couple grand into it, and they just net deck everything. And then they just happen to get lucky, and they have the time to grind out to get the points to show up, and then they just RNG their way to victory, which is not CCGing to me. That's just, and I couldn't justify it. It was something. It was turning into an almost like Hearthstone was turning into almost like $500 a year commitment just to try and be the top. Then on top of that, you had to have the time to fully engage, to like be grinding all the time. And I already grind in World of Warcraft. I'm not grinding in Hearthstone. That's not going to happen. So yeah, I was done with that. But yeah, I was big. I was big into that. That's my guy. I mean, I really enjoyed playing as him, but yeah, that was pretty much it. I couldn't do it any further. Oh, Cindy Johnson, thank you so much for $5 Freedom Dollars. Says, I have never had the patience to learn online games. The most I have ever done is finding hidden objects. You can do fun stuff like that. World of Warcraft has stuff like that. And like I said, I play Hunter, and Hunter can solo most everything in the game. I'm in a guild, but that's just for like, because being part of a guild gets you access to certain stuff in the game. That's pretty much why I joined them. I don't really do anything with them. I don't raid with them because they don't raid at times that I'm free, and they won't adjust. So I'm with them because I'm exalted in that guild, and because I've been with them so long, and I have the rep up, and I have access to all the cool exalted stuff as being a member of that guild. Exalted is a level of reputation. So it's kind of like, friendly, honored, revered, exalted, and then that's pretty much the max. So thank you so much, Cindy Johnson, for the super chat for $5 Freedom Dollars. I do appreciate that. And there is, because grinding, sometimes in the mood to grind, sometimes I'm not in the mood to grind. I mean, there's some things I've been grinding for years in World of Warcraft, trying to get like a mount to drop or to get a particular item. But that's just because I have the time. Mostly I really love the battle pets, because in World of Warcraft, there's battle pets, very much like Pokemon. You can run around World of Warcraft and you can, sorry, I just got an email about something. So you can run around World of Warcraft and you can collect pets, like wild pets, and then raise them up and train them up like Pokemon. And then you can battle them. There's a battle pet system, and there's all different types. It's actually like better than Pokemon because there's more combinations. There's more interesting stuff. There's more strategy involved. It's not RNG, which I think is really, really cool. All kinds of cool stuff. So if you just wanted to dig that, you could do that. Oh, wow. Looks like the SE Tune Show is going live here in 30 minutes. What are they doing? A flat Earth debate. Well, apparently the flat earthers are not quiet because there's a flat earther debate about to go on the SE Tune Show. So, yeah. But, yeah, there's lots of stuff for World of Warcraft for people to play. And of course, you have to make the decision if you want to pay, because it is a subscription fee. I've been paying that subscription for a long, long time. At this point, it's a lost cause. I recognize it's a sunk cost fallacy. I'm just going because I just absolutely love playing the game. I have a lot of fun with it, and I'm very good at it. I mean, heck, I even wrote a guide for World. I wrote a guide for Wowhead. I was so dedicated. I was used to be more dedicated to the game than I am now, because now it's a little bit different. The way they release content's different. But back when I was super, super hardcore, I remember I wrote a freaking Wowhead guide for my guild on how to get all of the achievements in a particular dungeon. And that took a long time. And it was really difficult. But I did it. I wrote a guide for him. So I was pretty hardcore into it. As a matter of fact, around here somewhere, I have all this. I have like a lot of the plush, the plush collectibles for a lot of the stuff. So I got shit all over the place. It's crazy. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Now I got to put these things back up because I pulled them from their spawns. But yeah, so tell you what, for what was it? And Just Call Me Abby. Says, yeah, online with people you've never met. Was on a Minecraft RP server. We had a motto: no race, colors, or creed, just players. Good times. Yeah, Minecraft's good. And if you notice, Minecraft just hit like 1 trillion views on YouTube. Minecraft content, that's just wild to me. Thank you some old dude for 20 Freedom Dollars. Thank you so much. Says, thank you so much for the support, man. I appreciate it. Says, just got sent home with a prescript for painkillers and germ killers. Have congestive heart failure, so I have problems with fluid in my legs. Got a serious ulcerated wound on leg. Much better now. Thanks for your kind thoughts. Absolutely, man. I am so sorry to hear that. Man, that is rough, dude. Man, I hope you are feeling better. I hope your holiday goes well. If you're celebrating, or if you're traveling, or if you're staying home, I just hope you have. I hope you're on the back end of it. it's like, or I hope you're on the front. You're ahead of it. What's the term? You know I think you know what I mean. I hope the worst is behind you on that. So definitely, thank you. All the best. Thank you so much for the support. I really do appreciate it, Simone, dude. You rock. So yeah, just call me Abby if you're interested in that. You could always message me, weekinhorror@gmail.com, or hit me up on Discord. And there's a referral program where I could refer you, and you can get some bonuses for being referred to. You can get some mounts, you can get some items that are pretty cool that are available. Not to mention experience boosts if it is something that you would be interested in. Sure. And then of course, if we happen to play together at the same time, you can be online. I'll be online, and when you're palling around with me, or I'm palling around with you doing cool stuff, you will get huge experience boosts off of things. Martin H says, whoever made up this game where the longer you live, the worse it gets, needs a good slap. This is very true. Getting old is not for pussies. It is absolutely not for pussies. Definitely. So, man, okay. I think that, given that MC Tune is about to go live here shortly, and I know, I actually kind of want to watch that myself. I think that might be where we're going. We're going for 2 hours and 38 minutes. 2 hours, 38 minutes. So definitely, I think we'll wrap it up there. So yes, I have new creative content coming up on the channel. Should be available next week. I will do that premiere, and I will see you all then. And of course, I will continue with the live streams so I can interact with y'all and see how y'all are doing, get updates as to how you Andrew George is getting old is for badasses. You got to be badass to get old and deal with it. So this is very true. And I always love checking in with y'all, seeing how y'all are doing. I want to give a huge, giant thank you to every one of the members of the Godless Army, all of my channel supporters. You guys are amazing. I couldn't do this without you. I really need to work on an outro animation that does this, so you can see your guys' names up here. I will work on that. That's the next thing I'm working on, as well as updating the trailer for Week in Horror. And, of course, over at Week in Horror, the episodes continue on Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Central Time. I hope to see everybody out there. It's an absolute blast. And, of course, the Discord channel where we show movies. And thank you to everyone who sent in a super chat. I really do appreciate you being here and all your support. You help me do this. You help me do the podcast while we are building up to bigger and bigger things. So I love all of y'all. Y'all are amazing. So if I don't see you beforehand, because next week is Christmas, so with traveling, I may not be able to live stream so quickly, but I will try to get up the next video before Christmas. So I appreciate y'all being here. And as always, thank you so much. Be safe, be excellent to each other, and together we can bridge the divide. Take care.